Well, hello there. You are listening to and watching Night Sounds on Thursday, checking the date, September 21st. Here I am, Barry Funkhauser. That's right, Barry Funkhauser. Hopefully you can hear me properly because I've been having some sound issues with this new setup that's video forward. Thanks for watching and listening to Night Sounds tonight. Josh will be on with me a little later on tonight, and the recorded Joe, because he is in Hawaii vacationing his butt off. And then coming up tonight in about an hour, we're going to have Paul on the program. Now, he's from the ABL Plus Foundation, and we'll tell you all about ABL Plus and what that is, along with the NORD Summit, the National Organization of Rare Diseases Summit that's coming up. We'll talk all about that with Paul tonight. And then in the 7 o'clock hour, the third hour of the program, Shadwick Wild joins us. He's got some music on coming out right now. He's on tour. So why don't we start the program to tease you a little bit with our friend Shadwick Wild and his latest song. This one's called Without You. Thanks for listening and watching Night Sounds. There goes Shadwick Wild on Night Sounds with me, Barry Funkhauser.
I like it. He's like why am I?
You sound like garbage tonight.
Yeah. What's on there?
I can probably fix that for you there. How about that? Probably just fixed it for you a little bit.
Yeah, there we go.
Josh is on the program tonight. Hey, Josh.
What's happening? He's like a poor man's Lord Huron. I like it.
It is, isn't it? It's a nice sound going down.
Cool. He like the only thing you have to do is have a couple of bucks and say, "Hey, look, I'm going to get a couple of interns to film some stuff, and it's going to be real somber, and you're going to love it." And that's what it is. Yeah.
Hey, that's the new sound of Southern California and all over the world. I think he's from Kansas or Iowa or something.
Is it though?
I guess.
I don't think so. I mean,
some people are liking that slow vibe.
They've been liking that for about 10 South by Southwest.
It's not new. It's not a new idea.
But whatever sells, right? So
I mean, probably not. I don't know if indie is selling very well right now. I heard that Katy Perry sold her entire library for $230 million. Do you hear that today? We'll cover it.
Dude, that's first off, that's insanity. The fact that number one, anybody that had a hit prior to 2015 is all of a sudden saying, I'm going to sell everything and hopefully someone will buy it. I think Justin Timberlake did it. There's an S-ton of other individuals that have done it, and they're like, oh, well, I'll sell you all my S, and that's like it. And it's like, so that's all you had. That's basically what you're telling people that have ever been inspired by you is that you officially have no inspiration anymore, and your only inspiration is money. That's it.
Well, you're absolutely wrong, Josh, and I'll tell you why later when we cover the story. But nope, you're in this case with Katy Perry, with Catherine Perry. I think you're dead wrong. You might be right with what you said there with your hands, but so it is your Thursday night sounds. We've got some guests on the program tonight. We've got Paul Bitterman. Not only is Paul a hockey Kings fan, I think he's a Kings fan. But he also has a rare disease called A-beta lipopronemia. And we're going to have him on the program to discover what that is. And we're going to talk about something very interesting. It's called the NORD Summit, the National Organization for Rare Diseases. And we're going to cover rare diseases tonight on the program. And then Shadwick Wild, our friend Shaddy, will be on the third hour here on the program. Well, Josh, I know you have a day job.
I do. Very busy. Jumping on here literally with no prep, but just a lot of attitude and pregame, whatever, right?
Everybody has a day job, man. I'm not knocking it. I've got a day job myself, although I don't have to go anywhere. I just have to edit out out of podcasts. So
that's a lot of ums.
A lot of ums. Everything's a little fatiguing, but this just in, Josh, we might have a new calling here. Watch this. It's about podcasts.
Ooh, okay.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Tracy Lair. The creator of Your Own Backyard podcast, Chris Lambert, hosted a podcast class at the Santa Maria Library today. News Channel reporter Christina Rodriguez reports on the podcast that brought justice to Kristen Smart after 27 years.
Chris Lambert began the podcast Your Own Backyard, which dived into the murder of Kristen Smart.
The sheriff's department finally called me and said, we're willing to sit down for an interview with you, because they had heard the episodes I had put out and they thought, okay, like we're ready to talk.
Your Own Backyard podcast has been streamed 30 million times. Fans of Lambert, like Cal Poly student Shabella Oliver, gathered at the Santa Maria Library to learn how to create their own podcast.
I also lived in the Red Bricks. Which is right next to one of the buildings where, it happened. And so I felt very, very emotionally connected to the podcast, but also the situation itself.
Lambert says he asked the Smart family if he could tell their daughter's story, but he never imagined justice being served from the investigative work of his podcast.
I just cried a lot. The moment in sentencing where the judge directly addressed Paul Flores and she said, "Mr. Flores, you're a cancer to society and you deserve to spend every day you have left behind bars." It was like the most validating moment of my life, probably.
Paul Flores is now serving his 25 years to life sentence at the Pleasant Valley State Prison in Coalinga, California.
It was said a lot in court. He made a podcast with the intention of convicting this man. That was why he put the podcast out. And I kept thinking, wait, I put the podcast out because someone's missing and I want to find her. It had nothing to do with who did it. It was just that everything kept pointing back to this guy. That's the story.
Lambert explained how he records and edits his podcast, but he also expressed to be ready for the impact your work may have. He says Your Own Backyard podcast will continue with developing news from the Smart case.
It's still a very emotional topic for a lot of us Cal Poly students.
Community members say Kristen Smart and her family have now received justice after 27 years. In Santa Maria, I'm News Channel reporter Christina Rodriguez.
Okay, so at the end of the day, you really have to be prepared for just in case you land on that one in a trillion story. All right, I learned that right now. And
a podcast in today's world, yeah, you have to have a trending topic that everyone's interested in. Number one,
everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. Okay, 2.
Number 2, you asking me what 2 is?
Yeah, I can tell you what I learned, but you're not going to like it.
No, go off. You can go off. I mean, this is a very local story that I don't know if you know about Kristen Smart. It's been an unsolved case for like 20 years. I remember it from high school up here. It's a Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. It's a big old crime drama. Everybody loves the crime drama. If we had a third one here and it was Joe, he'd go off about how much he loves crime drama. But I think that's number 2.
The problem is if it's not on Netflix or Hulu or anywhere else, who gives a crap?
No, there's a world for podcasting. Like people are looking.
No. I'm talking about. You said that you've known about that particular story forever, but if no one from a national level has jumped on top of it, then who cares? Because I can tell you here in Texas, there's a ton of very in-depth stuff that have already been made. Right? Like, so, I feel sorry for the family and everybody else, but unless you really have something that has somehow trended right through X/Twitter and Facebook and has somehow gotten the means of Netflix and those guys, then it kind of sucks for the families because people are going, well, I can't sell it, right? Like I got a halfway decent 5.5 looking chick with mild boobs and somebody else, and they're really not selling it just good enough. There's got to be drama. And that kind of sucks if you think about it. Like you don't want that. You don't want an entire thing. You don't want to have to build a story around. I'll give you here we go. Let me give you a prime example.
Okay, give me a prime
example. So recently, I don't know if you heard about the trending video of these complete savages from Las Vegas that were filming running into a car, and then they ran into a gentleman in a bicycle that just so happened to be an ex-cop that they filmed murdering because they ran over him.
Yeah, I didn't hear about that. No.
That became a very fast story. Now, here's what's kind of effed up about it. It wasn't because it suddenly started trending because they were filming it live. Suddenly it became trending because it turned out the gentleman in the bicycle just having a good ride was an ex-cop. And then they filmed it saying, one kid said, "Hey, hit him. Ha, 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 ha. Hit him. Oh, man, you really got him." Killed the poor guy, dead, filmed it. And it trended on TikTok of him basically murdering this poor guy.
Never good. But that's what people listen to. Everybody loves their murder porn, you know.
It was
That's what it's all about.
that's a great thing, right? Like you said. Well, I'm sorry. My apologies. Not great thing, but
For podcasters, I guess it's a great
podcasting,
thing.
right? For your neck of the woods, unless this chick was banging a mayor and impregnated the maid or somebody else, then it's very difficult, right? To suddenly have something so dramatic like that, really over the top, that grasps some writers or Hollywood people or somebody that's on top of it, making it something trendy. And I think in this day and age, that kind of sucks for individuals around. Let's just stick it to the United States. I'm keeping up with the time here, 15 minutes. We got 5 minutes, I think. It sucks for individuals who deal with this throughout the United States, right? That it have these unfortunate things. My individual, my daughter, my son, my whatever was kidnapped on the lawn. My husband was hit by a bicycle that he was just driving. My such and such, right? Like the whole, you fill in the blanks to this. And unless it truly becomes a trending story, nobody gives a damn. And no matter how much they try to make it a truly local thing, it's going to take way longer than anything else that trended. Because that story in Las Vegas was Las Vegas, and it was a trending story because of the individual that got hit. That's a 0.0.
You know what I think it is,
right?
Josh, man? Here, you know what I think's going on here? I think you have to stumble into it. I think that's number 3 is you just...
That's a bad joke. The poor guy stumbled on his bike. Come on, Barry.
No, I mean about the podcast hosting thing.
Oh,
to get a big, you know, to be successful, you got to do it by accident.
Yes.
Like
okay. Yeah. I you know, you want to stumble across a story, and you know, you can even go to what's that God, what's the show on Hulu right now that they're in the 3rd season, and they're, oh my God, I can't believe Steve Martin and
the Only Murderers in the Building.
Yeah, Only Murderers in the Building. That's kind of the story, right? That they stumbled across a murder in the building, and it was a couple of has-beens that were really big back in the day, and then some chick that suddenly stumbled across it. You know, oddly enough, it's unfortunate that it has to be like that someone is like, hey, I just so happen to know somebody that might know somebody that I think we can solve this crime. And then you have your partner that go, dude, that's crazy. I have somebody in media that just so have, and then it goes that way. In reality, you and I working in the industry, we both know that's not how it works. So a lot of these people that are dealing with a lot of this kind of horrendous, heartbreaking stories like yours in your area, you said 20-something years. Will it ever get solved? Not unless it's within the first couple of years on somebody catches it on Netflix. It's sad. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, man. Well, this story that started with Kristen Smart, you should look into it because there has been some lines and all that stuff. It's quite a story. So, but you know, this guy probably didn't expect to trend with his 30 million podcasts, 30 million downloads.
How long did it take him to do 30 million though?
I don't know, man. But you can catch him at the library at 2:00. He's going to tell you all about it, man. There's a free session at the library.
I'll be at my library. You go to your library. We got to, maybe it's, what do they call that? Grassroots. Maybe we got to do something. We got to do something that way. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm down.
All right. This is Night Sounds. Josh, I don't know how they take tickets from you, but here in California, there's been a lot of controversy about the speed limit cameras. And now it looks like they're back on. Listen to this.
Yeah, of course, you're going to want to know how much. Well, the first ticket is a warning. After that, $50 if you are caught driving 11 miles per hour over the speed limit. And the faster you drive, the higher that ticket goes, up to $500. And Governor Newsom is expected to sign this. Check it out. You've seen traffic cameras. Now get ready for speed censoring cameras that will ticket speeding drivers automatically. No officer needed. LA is one of 6 California pilot cities where a trial of the speed cameras has just been approved by California legislators. With the help of groups like Streets Are For Everyone.
The single most common factor in serious injuries and fatalities across Los Angeles is speeding.
Traffic fatalities are at record levels in Los Angeles, over 200 this year already, according to LAPD, which would not be administering the program. It will be handled by the Department of Transportation or Public Works, depending on the city.
Some groups have had concerns in terms of, well, this is just another way for enforcement to wield an unfair hand. It's not the case, because it's not even being done by law enforcement.
Which again, will not be getting ticket revenue. Critics have called camera enforcement programs a money grab for agencies looking for extra funds.
It's hard to say that this is a money grab when the first ticket is a warning. The tickets don't start until 11 miles per hour over the speed limit, and it's a $50 ticket. That's less than a parking ticket, and parking tickets don't save lives.
Now, the money that comes in is supposed to go to maintain the cameras, maintain the system, any access to traffic improvements in the cities the cameras are in. Now, you're not going to see them anytime soon. They have to go through a whole process with those communities to find out where they want to put them. So it'll be a few months before you see the first one, is what I'm being told. But start practicing slowing down. I'm Christina Gonzalez, downtown Los Angeles. Back to you in the studio.
Look, man, when I was living in Phoenix and Tampa, they started to do a lot of that. It started with running the light, right? And if you ran the light, it would take a photo of you and doing that. And then they started doing, especially in Florida, they started to do, if you went over a certain thing. But working in radio enabled guys like myself and other radio guys, where we had lawyers on the shows and every single ticket could be beat, because you could fight that. So you know what? I see this and I think, all right, it is. I don't care what little Miss Gonzalez had to say. It's a money grab, whatever. I don't buy it. I think, it's unfortunate no matter what city or state you live in. I think, cops could be better used somewhere else besides, worrying about tickets. I think the whole ticket thing, that I think that one guy said, well, it's saving lives after 10 miles an hour. It's like, okay. I mean, if you want to do the math on that, it's very few and far between on that. I just think most people are a-holes and they need to stop running lights, right? Like at the end of the day, especially here in Texas, a lot of the times when it comes to bad accidents, it's not a matter of speed. It's that these idiots run the lights or they don't pay attention or, doing something like that. It's not
distracted driving.
Yeah, dude. That's really what they need to start focusing on when it comes to traffic tickets. Speeding. Joe, you seem like you're on the same page with me, man. Help me out here.
I mean, yes, I think distracted driving for sure is just a way, way bigger deal. Like it's been illegal to be on your phone in California for I don't know, 20 years, 30 years.
A while now.
And people are just always constantly on their phones. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks. So we already have a ton of just awful drivers here.
These Teslas they got a laptop they're looking at.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need
their
that.
Checking their stocks and doing their SpaceX garbage on a big old.
They're playing games. They're literally playing games and have it on autopilot.
I've passed by a few and I've seen videos on Netflix because they're like mini screens. Yes. I'm like, and guess what? It had nothing to do with speeding. It's distracted.
Nope. Distracted driving. So here, my thing is okay, so I'm not even going to get into the cameras everywhere because there are like cameras everywhere. It is, you cannot escape it. So
Exactly.
everybody with the conspiracy theories about like, oh, but they're going to capture everybody. They're just doing it for facial recognition. I'm like, look, that we've already been there for 10 years.
Yeah.
There are cameras literally everywhere capturing every movement that you make. We're not even
Not
going to go
like
into that.
this. This is different. Now I'm gonna yell.
No. Like I am fine. The camera thing doesn't bother me. My thing is, it's not going to stay at the first ticket's a warning and the second ticket's only $50. They're going to, like Josh said, they're going to see after it's going to go up. There is going to be a way where it's like, oh, you know what? We don't have to give a warning anymore. Let's just make the first ticket $50. You know, oh, it's such a successful program. Or the flip side, oh, it's not successful enough because we're not tough enough. They're gonna go if it's successful or it's not successful from the get-go, they're gonna find some excuse to get rid of that warning and increase the ticket prices just year over year over year.
Absolutely.
So
And they'll start with the $50, right? They'll get rid of the so-called warning because it's successful. And then it'll go with every 3 to 4 to 5 miles. 50 turns into 100, 100 turns into 200. And then it absolutely becomes a money grab. And guess what? You're not solving the solution of wrecks, of distracted driving, of people running red lights, of not paying attention. It's just a money grab, man. I don't buy it. I never did. It is what it is. It's ridiculous. We should vote on it.
Flip it, yeah. But flip it instead of it capturing the speeding. Who cares about so much about the speeding? Capture the distraction. If you can see into the car, capture the distraction, make that the impetus.
Yes.
Of it all.
Dude, think about it. When you run the light, right? Like you run a red light, how many times, dude, I've seen so many throughout the years where they're running a light and you see the phone.
Yes, you see the phone. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's an episode of every single sitcom that's been on for the last 20 years. Yeah. Every sitcom has that episode, and it's always the same. It's always the phone, and they do it because it happens so often. It is so prevalent still. So yes, distracted driving way more important. This speeding thing is just stupid.
Nonsense.
No, nonsense. Don't care about it.
They're over there using LiDAR and goofy stuff like that for the wrong reasons.
LiDAR. They're using ground detecting radar for the wrong reasons. You're right, Barry.
God.
Gotta take it off mute.
Yeah, well, when I'm on mute, only K Tahoe can hear me. So I'm just talking
to
the radio audience when I'm on mute.
I feel unloved in Lake Tahoe. Come on.
That little button, man, it'll get you. It'll get you every time.
All right, fine, yeah. I guess. Dude, the more that you and I have started doing, well, you've been doing shows for quite a while, but I started doing.
Yeah, we're only on week 2 of this, man. We're on like the 6th, 5th, 4th show or something like that.
There's a lot of really cool stuff to do in Lake Tahoe. I had no idea that technically that is in California. I thought,
well, it's in both states.
Right. It's that weird little. So here's the deal. You need to find a high dollar sponsor.
We're trying to get up there, man. You know what? I've been.
Dude, I want to go up there. It seems so fun. It seems
one of these days. I think the only way we'll be able to experience Tahoe is off season, because everybody's there for the winter because they go skiing and snowboarding.
That's okay. I don't care for snow. I'm all right with that.
And then everybody goes there for the summer for the lake and the boating and all the fun out there, barbecue.
We can do pre. We can do the pregame to that. I think we can do that. I'm convinced we can figure something out.
We'll go out there when it's boiling. That's when everything's
literally
cheap.
No one is out there. No, dude, I'm telling. We can figure a little something out.
We're gonna have an algae bloom on Lake Tahoe, and that's when we'll go. When everyone
and we'll be welcome to the Algae Bloom Fest, first annual festival.
It'll be a biohazard. That's when the only way we can afford it.
Anthrax headlining. I'm down. Let's do it.
tomorrow on the program, Josh, this is very exciting. We have Jasmine Royce on the program, I think,
Ooh,
and she's gonna.
porn star?
No,
An adult
no.
film star? She's got that adult film
She
star
does.
name. All right.
We will ask her all about why her name is that, I'm sure, but she's a creator of Tranquility Magazine, and they have a blog and a podcast, and it's all about wellness and better living. Tranquility Magazine. We'll have Jasmine on tomorrow live on the program.
Hippie.
I
like that.
She was
Is she
named after
hot?
a flower.
Is she cute? Most of those little hippie chicks are always kind of attractive.
Oh gosh, you'll have to ask her yourself tomorrow.
So wait, no, I'm not asking. You're a man, as far as I know. You can tell me if she's an attractive woman.
I can't. Yeah, but I can't comment. I'm not allowed
Because
to say
of
things,
Sweetie.
kinds of things.
Sweetie will give you a
No,
pass.
no. I could
She'll be
comment
okay.
on stuff, but she's a business associate. That's a little beyond the scope, don't you think?
Not
You know
really.
what I mean?
Not really. No.
If you ran into Jasmine on the walking in the cubicles,
Of
in the
course,
sea of
okay.
cubicles, would you hit on her? You'd go straight to HR, man. You don't know what's going on in today's world, man.
No, I would work
can't even
everything
look
out,
at
and if
it.
we were doing a live show or whatever, I would absolutely be the first one to say, "Hey, you're an attractive woman," and blah blah
Out
blah
the
blah
door,
blah.
fired.
She'd say, "You're out. You're out."
Mr. What's your last name? Mr. Sanchez.
Sanchez needs to go to the immediately HR.
Need to go see. Got to go see Mimi immediately.
Call Mimi immediately for HR. This is a code 5.
It would be a code 5. Yeah, you got to watch out for that. So I'm not going to comment whatsoever. You're going to see her tomorrow. What are you asking me for?
I don't know.
What, you your eyes?
I'm just saying. Come on.
You want me to put like some pretty filter on us so that we all look pretty?
Can we do it? I need to know. Do I need to wear my 9-inch nail shirt or do I need to wear a collared shirt? I don't know.
It's all up to you, man. It's how you want to present yourself.
Well,
I think both look good in this situation.
Thank you.
Both are good. But you better be on your best behavior tomorrow because we are going to learn about things that we don't know about tomorrow on the
Calling HR, a Mr. Sanchez has said some inappropriate things. Calling HR.
Yeah, I don't know how to bleep. So be careful, man. There's no button here. We're live.
All right, fine.
So, but we can talk about Katy Perry. And
here we go with her big old Tiggo bitties. What's going on?
Oh boy!
Let's
Yeah,
go.
she sold all of her stuff here. Check this out.
All right.
Here, take a listen.
You'll be seeing fireworks when you hear this total. Katy Perry just sold the rights to her music catalog to Litmus
Hold
Music.
on. This ain't working.
Yeah.
This ain't working.
We need more
Let's try it over here.
What is going on? There we go.
Got it over here.
The full,
Technical problems, ladies and gentlemen. It's a live program. Here we go. Take 2.
You'll be seeing fireworks when you hear this total. Katy Perry just sold the rights to her music catalog to Litmus Music, launched in 2022 and co-founded by former Capitol Records president Dan McCarroll for a whopping $225 million. A deal that includes hits like Teenage Dream, Hot and Cold, and California Girls. While the Grammy winner has yet to comment on the news, Dan was quick to praise Katy for her more than a decade of chart-topping hits. A September 18th statement to Variety reads, Katy Perry is a creative visionary who has made a major impact across music, TV, film, and philanthropy. I'm so honored to be partnered with her again and to help Litmus manage her incredible repertoire. The news comes 3 years after the 38-year-old last released new music with her 5th studio album, 2020's Smile. But this doesn't mean Katy is walking away from her music career. In fact, she wants to start over, this time with a new source of inspiration, her and fiancé Orlando Bloom's 3-year-old daughter, Daisy Dove. In August, the singer told Good Morning America, I haven't put any new material out since my darling Daisy. I think that I'm writing a lot and have written a lot from a place of love because I'm feeling so much of it, so much unconditional love, that love you never knew existed. She continued, I'm always writing. I have been. But I think what's really important to me is to be celebrating the world that I've got to build with all of these wonderful songs and to be responsible for a life for a 3-year-old. I will be back, but let me get this right. In the sit down with GMA, she then added,
if I don't get these right, I'm going to pay for that for the rest of my life. So,
well, remember, rebellion is what helped get you here in the first place. Though.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if I don't get it right, maybe there'll also be some great art that comes out of it.
While she hasn't released new music, the American Idol judge has still been busy performing. The latest run of her Las Vegas residency wraps this November.
Yeah, so okay, I know you're gonna probably poo-poo all over her, and you can do that, but hold the phone because whoa, all right, what's happening here? Thank you very much. I think she got out at the exact right time, musically speaking. And you said earlier that she's out of ideas, but she's been saying maybe this is spin, but she's got a new producer, she's working on a bunch of new music. And she's got a whole different vibe going down. And I think I believe that because she's been doing this Idol thing for a while. And now she's going to go back to music. So sell off the old poppy. There's so many bangers in her songs, though, man. There's a lot of good songs in there, if you ask me.
Yeah, no, she has a couple of decent bangers, but she is no Taylor Swift. And I think she is looking at an artist like Taylor Swift and seeing how profitable not only re-releasing her records are, but seeing her live shows and videos and just overall marketing is doing. So she is thinking, well, hey, if Taylor Swift can do this, and why can't I? Well, here's the problem. She's not anywhere in the same planet as Taylor Swift. That's facts. Yeah, she had a couple of bangers. Is it anywhere near as close to Taylor Swift? No, not even remotely. She can keep banging Orlando Bloom, Mr. Pirates of the Caribbean, all she wants and pop out a child. And guess what? That might get you one, maybe two other singles. If you somehow are more creative than the stuff you've done, I don't believe that her big bangers were done just by her, whereas Taylor Swift's were completely done by her. I don't think she has what it takes. I think.
Yeah, but you're comparing the number one artist of probably all time to Katy Perry. You can't do that's not the same. It's
no,
I mean,
but she's
Katy
trying
Perry's had her own
to do that. She's trying to do the same thing.
Who else sold all their stuff?
Justin Timberlake did
so
it
with no intention. None of them had any intention of getting back into saying, I'm going to do like round 2 of music. Everybody was like, that's it, I'm done, I'm out.
Did JT ever say that he wanted to come back and start
He's hanging out with
rewriting
NSYNC again. They just did a Hot Ones together with NSYNC and JT was there, man. I think they're going to cash in on the boy band round 2 party train, man. I think
so I'm going to stop you. Yes. From the boy band brand, not Justin Timberlake. I think he knows he doesn't have enough singular hits to do it. So he did what he had to do. Got a very nice chunk of money, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, holy cow, I got to deal with this bitch wife of mine. And, I don't have enough money here. So let's jump on NSYNC. And now he can double his profit margin.
Well, if everybody else is going without him, it's dumb. He's got to be part of it. You know what I mean? So
wait,
you can't have 4 out of 5 of them.
Is it not? I thought it was the full crew. Is it not?
It is. Yes.
Then he's going to clean up. He's going to clean up. He's going to do fine. I'm trying to do everything that.
Hey, it's better that this happens when he's our age, my age, because you're much older, apparently.
Easy.
It's better that he does it in his early 40s than his 60s. You know what I mean? Like when he's
nobody will buy that.
He's still going to cash in.
It's smart.
Let's be honest.
It's smart.
I think
he's
they're all going to cash in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, as well as the guys I think the guys from 90 Degree. God, dude, anybody that's ever done that, they need to step up and start cleaning house and just collecting a ton of coin. I mean, seriously, dude, anybody, let's think of Anybody
Everybody.
pre-2012.
Dude, everybody.
Everybody needs to clean up as soon as possible. And I will tell you, that's great for them. Sad for music because there is nobody that's really developing anything. I think I read a pretty interesting article about Olivia. Is her name Rodrigo or
Yeah, man.
She's got a lot of talent, man. I've been doing a lot of research on her, and I don't think she has a good enough team to help produce that. I wish a talent like that would somehow jump on the T-Swift bandwagon.
She's like 19 years old, right? She's like 17 or something. Give her
That's
some.
all, that's borderline
Everybody
old. That's borderline old in this day and age. That's borderline old.
We learned what happened in pop music when they start young. They get all messed up in the head. Britney's
back in
dancing.
Back in our day, nowadays in social media and TikTok and IG and everything else, you got to pop that baby out as soon as possible. Jump on board with someone that's going to make you bigger than you ever thought, and then cash in quickly, pull the ripcord, jump the F out, and then maybe you somehow have a talent like Dave Grohl or someone from the Queens of the Stone Age that can say, hey, look, I saw it. Good for you. Now let's hone in on your actual talent.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? I got a guy that's a good guy to ask these questions to. His name's Drew Rose. He was in a band called Wild Side. Nice. That was in the 80s, like a
Wild
80s.
Side. Motley Crue.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, he's a guy that it's on the list of us to talk to here on Night Sounds, and boy, we'll ask him about I guess the term is selling out, right? Didn't Katy Perry just sell out?
Who cares, dude? Man, I wish I could swear on this show. Who cares? Yeah. Selling out is fine. Metallica took that kind of criticism years, right? And look at them now. They surpassed all the nonsense, and now all of a sudden they're to a point to where they're like, oh wait, people want to market us, and we're absolutely okay, and no one even considers us selling out, and we're bringing very new artists to our show, minus Pantera. Don't get me started on that nonsense just yet. But, I'm just impressed by the hard rock thing. But look, a part of me, I love indie rock. I love alternative. And I can look at artists that would follow the umbrella, right, of a Taylor Swift. Because let's be honest, if you are an individual that you see this and you think, God, all I want to do is express myself musically, who do I have to look up to? T-Swift is it, baby. That's it. She is the end-all, be-all from a pop standpoint. She is the umbrella that does it, and all the little icicles that go down. All I can think of, and dude, I don't know if you've seen and really paid attention to the alternative and indie artists that she has brought to her show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bon Iver and all kinds of stuff. Sure.
A lot of phenomenal artists that have been busting their ass for years. So I would say the Olivia Rodrigos and everybody else and the newcomers, do your time. Do what you have to do. Don't completely sell yourself out yet. Write your own songs. Have a creative sound, a creative word, a creative vocabulary, and do something. I just don't believe that we're completely, that's it. That we're at the end of the year, right? At the end, 10 years from now, we'll go, well, Taylor Swift was it. There was nobody that ever accomplished.
That's not going to happen.
I refuse to believe that.
That's not going to happen, man.
I refuse to believe that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Well, those were, I guess, inspirational words, Josh.
Thank you. I was trying. Look, do something. Be creative. And
it started good, and then it kind of trailed off into hate.
You're nothing. You'll never accomplish anything.
Nobody will come after.
That's right. Nobody will ever look at you.
Well, coming up in about 15 minutes. We're going to have Paul Bitterman on the show. We're going to talk about ABL. And, but Josh, you mentioned you want to get up to Tahoe. And,
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to.
You know, Reno's like right next door. They're sister cities. Did you know that?
Love it. Good gambling, some hula houses. I'm all about it. Some
You're
good
all about it.
restaurants and
Good cigar
some
shops.
Great cigar shops. Some good. Yeah, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Set that up, Barry. What's the problem, man? I could be setting my vacation days up with you.
I'm working on it, man. Working on it. Gosh, all this pressure. This is only the second week. All
You're
this
the big
pressure.
Man. You're the big man. Okay.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I'm just
Well,
the talent.
here's another thing that we can do in Reno when we're there, when we're not lollygagging around.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Or your suggestions are after dark. You vary. But we could go up there and do this. Watch.
Welcome back. The Great Reno Balloon Race starts tomorrow, but today
Oh,
they held
God.
a preview event, and our very own Jaden Urban got to take his first ever hot air balloon ride. He gives us a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to get those beauties up in the air.
I'm having a fabulous time.
This is my thing.
With balloon races just around the corner, over the next few days, many will be stopping to glance at the balloons, but not for Co Marai, who's the pilot of Firenze.
Looking for wind currents. I'm looking for direction. Everyone else is looking at the pretty balloons. I'm looking at the weather.
Marai says piloting a hot air balloon is not for everyone.
It takes a certain type of personality to want to fly the oldest form of aviation around and let Mother Nature do most of the guiding, where all you control is the up and down.
While Marai is the pilot, ultimately his team is what makes the balloon fly.
Teamwork. Just everybody does a little and it adds up.
Yes, I can squeeze the handle and make it go up and down, but it's all these other people who do most of the hard work.
And for our ride out, Marai says it went pretty smoothly.
Well, it's a nice, boring flight, and I love boring flights. I've had more than my fair share of excitement over the years. I don't particularly need any more after 45 years of flying.
While he thought it was easy and peaceful, I did not.
I was not kidding. We just ran into a tree. I may be overreacting, thought we were going down a little bit, but hey, for the first time, the ride has gone pretty smoothly. I know we're in good hands here with our pilot.
Marai has flown for over 40 years. He does see an end in sight, just not today.
There comes a point where you have to say, I just need to stop, because it's not about whether I have fun. It's what happens if I don't land in some place with a big green open field like this.
Marai says he looks forward to the next 3 days of the race to be able to fly high in the sky. And while our ride had me shaking in my boots, I still had a good time.
Camera's good, no injuries. First air balloon ride ever. I'd say it went pretty successful. Covering the story, Jaden Urban, 2 News.
Oh, it's always such
like
a
that,
fun
Josh.
experience.
Totally do that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
let's look,
fun?
dude. I want the boring guy with the weird whiskey 70s porn stash that says, "Hey, I'd like boring 40,000 feet in the
No,
air." That's
this
what
is
I
not
want.
boring.
No, that's what I want. I want boring and that.
Have
high.
you ever been in a hot air balloon? It's
Hell
something
no.
that's on my never ever to do list. That's
No.
the
You don't want to
scariest
do it?
thing.
Why not?
Oh man, because well, imagine that's one way to go. You're blasting hot flame into a fabric-filled gas bubble. Anything could happen and go wrong, man.
No,
And-
but you
and-
need a guy that's been spending years doing that because look, at the end of the day, and he alluded to saying, hey, well, things have happened before, but I was prepared. I want the guy that is prepared for a complete nightmare scenario, a future Netflix show. That's what I want. I want that guy to say, Barry, Josh, oh my God, I don't know where this weather came from, this turbulent nonsense, but put these packs on and then they push us over and we survive. And you probably, you're screaming like a little bitch. And I'm like, dude, I'm
Well,
going to survive.
excuse me.
I'm going to survive.
Let me rephrase this. I'm not even going to be there. All right. I'm not anywhere near a hot air balloon. It's just something that Reno does for some strange reason, man. You know what I mean?
I mean, That's
What
look,
else are you gonna do in Reno besides all of your ideas? Your
I was gonna
ideas
say,
are-
besides fine, great whores, good food, and some
If you wanna
gambling.
move there.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that might fall under the list of like, hey, you've accomplished all of that. How about doing this in the middle of nowhere? I'd do it. I'd do it,
You
dude.
would,
I'm not gonna
because
lie. I'm fine with it. I am
you're gonna
okay.
need something for the hangover, of
Oh
course,
yeah, yeah.
or you're gonna need to find something after you get out of the jail the night before for doing all the stuff. that
God,
you
you're
did the
such a
first night.
you're such a girl, man. I
They're
can't
gonna come
believe
after
I
you.
can't believe you're like
They're
so
coming after
worried.
you. I'm gonna watch
I
them.
can't
I'm gonna
believe it.
give them your address.
Bad
That's what's
boys,
gonna
bad
happen.
boys. You're gonna be like, ooh, dude, I told you. I told you.
Well, coming up at 6:00, second hour of the program
Yes,
today,
sir.
tonight, we will have Paul Bitterman on. He
Yeah.
is
Great guy. Very I have attempted to read a lot of his material, and I will admit that was the first time I realized I'm not smart.
no
And
man.
I
You
had
listen,
to
it's a
highlight.
complicated subject tonight,
Yeah, it's very
and
different.
all I'm gonna ask you to do, meanwhile, is to practice saying A beta lipopronemia. All right,
Yeah,
ABL,
yeah.
A beta
ABL, A
pro.
beta pro.
I'm not saying it right, but Paul will say it right. He'll be on here in about 10 minutes here on Night
Got it
Sounds.
all.
Okay.
I've done a lot of little research,
All
and
right.
I'm definitely the one thing, and I won't give it away, because we still got a couple of little minutes. It's interesting, this whole disease and how it is, and how do
Yeah.
you find stuff like this, and is it made up, or I'm very curious. I've got some questions with it, so
Save
hopefully
your
he can answer
questions.
it. Oh no, I will. We still got a
We'll,
couple of we got some time, so
no, we're gonna do something else here right now.
yeah.
That's right.
But
In this
before we
9
do that, I want to tell
Mhm.
people, look, we've got a great guest, very educational. Please do not go anywhere. This is a good one.
Yeah, this is Night Sounds. Well, okay. I really am interested in Josh's opinion here on this next story because it's in SoCal. Me and Joe, it's another story. It's just another day.
It's just another day in SoCal.
But Josh, you lived in Florida,
Yes, sir.
so you might relate to what's going on here in SoCal. I guess there's an after-school club in the library.
Freaking love this story.
All right,
And it's called the Satan Club. All right, take a look at this.
All right.
Yeah, and the group says that the goal here is not to introduce any type of religion or belief system, but to promote free, rational thinking. And the event was hosted here at this public library in Lancaster, open to all ages, free to the public. And take a look at the video here. You can see what it looked like inside, described as a family-friendly event with arts and crafts, science experiments, and live demos. Meanwhile, outside, dozens started gathering to peacefully protest, holding prayer groups and camping out in front of the library with signs. The Satanic Temple's After School Satan Club says it only plans events where other religious groups are operating to provide a safe alternative to students. Listen.
I just want people to know that the Satanic Temple, we are about personal liberty and free rational inquiry. We're not about worshiping the devil or anything like that. And we're just trying to have fun and help the children have a good time.
We're representing Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior. We're not trying to have the enemy destroy this town. We got enough issues here in Jesus' name. Rebuke Satan in the name of Jesus Christ.
Those protesters argue the group is trying to entice children with gifts and games to turn away from their beliefs. And as you heard from that event organizer, they say the Satanic Temple is all about personal liberty, not about worshiping the devil. And we did reach out to the Lancaster School District, although the event wasn't held on one of its campuses. We reached out for comment on the event here and the protesting, but have yet to hear back. Reporting live in Lancaster, I'm Mario Ramirez. Back to you.
Yeah, kind of like going off that, Mario. If the club claims that they don't worship the devil, then why are they called the Satanic Temple? Is it for controversy? Is it for irony? Because it's like the branding is not matching up to the message here.
Yeah, it really is all in the name. And the group basically says this is a symbol of an alternative to faith-based groups. So not necessarily about satanic worship, but more...
I don't even know where to begin with
kind
this
of
clown.
going
I
in
mean-
opposition to those religious groups that are operating in the same area.
I mean, we're talking about it, so maybe that's the reason too. Thank you, Mario. Appreciate it.
First off, the devil sent her because she's distracting me. Let me tell you, dressed in red, tight. Ooh, good lord!
Oh,
Just another, hey, here in LA, just another reporter.
Oh.
my God, I love this story so much. I love it so much. I love it. The Satanic Temple Satan After School Club.
I
It's just
mean-
brilliant. Oh my God, I love it so much.
It's so funny. Like, it's not. How do people take it seriously? Did you see, Barry? I wish you could scroll back and show the little symbols. It's like a little Care Bear with a little devil horn going, Satan. Oh my God! It's
Oh my God, it's so funny.
us. It's so
It is
cute.
so funny.
It's like, I mean, how is there? I can say, growing up in a very hardcore Christian, I can see the Pentecostals out there very much like, hallelujah, in the name of, there you go, right there. Who can be mad? Who can be mad at that? I know some pretty
Oh my
devout
God.
Christians that would go, all right, that's kind of.
Oh my God, it's like
I
like the
mean,
goat version of Pokemon.
yeah, it's like, come join us. I'm gonna steal your soul.
Oh my
I
God.
mean,
Oh
come
man.
on.
These are
Just-
seriously like these are the same people that you see at like every single Comic-Con because like they hate cosplayers too. It's like everything from the world of like video games and movies and comic books is just like the entrance portal to hell. It's like if you like comic books, you are going to eventually become a devil worshipping, Satan loving bastard. It's
And
like,
then
it's
they
so
add
funny.
the snake. They're like, ooh, here's the worst part. I have a boa constrictor. It's like,
Oh,
this is
man.
strictly clickbait. It's, but think about it too, man. Of course, there's always going to be someone that represents, you can't have good without evil, right? Any sort of representation. You're always going to have someone that goes, how dare they try to steal my children's soul? It's like I grew up in stuff like that where my family would literally go, you don't actually buy that, do you? And if you do, I raised you poorly. I'm like, I don't give an S. I mean, what do I care, right? Back where they're like the abortion ones. There's dead fetuses. How dare you throw it in the trash? It's like, what are you talking about? You're just harassing some poor pregnant woman? I mean,
Oh man,
this is all the same. How dare you? I can't believe it. It's like, just
Oh man.
stop. Look, man, when it comes to stuff like this, look, this is one question I think I would have asked as a parent if I was there. Is there a Christian organization? If there is, then you should have one. You should have one. You know what?
Of course there are.
I
Oh my God.
I want someone dressed up in a crown of thorns. Then just there, I want the best of both worlds. I mean, come on, you gotta have both.
Oh
Just
man, that's
so
just great.
ridiculous. Just-
Oh, that's just yeah. I agree.
I will steal your soul.
But let me finish modeling this mask out of clay.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
hold on.
That's the
I
best
know,
part, man. Oh,
right?
that guy had a great beard.
It
too.
was
Come
pretty
on.
good.
Everyone
Oh,
have
yeah.
their pens and pencils.
Dude,
And
he was
Mary
the one
brought us
guy
some
that
marine
was like,
sandwiches.
he was like that one guy that's looking around. Why isn't anyone taking this seriously?
like all those people protesting outside, like none of them went inside. All of them thought it was like black walls with red lights and children getting tattooed with like
666.
666 on their arm, all
Pentagrams
those-
on there, they're
You know,
getting
that's what they're-
tattoos of Satan. You remember Dragnet from back in the day? Dragnet, where they're sacrificing the virgin.
Yeah, of
you know,
course.
it's
Yeah. Oh,
like-
wait, the movie Dragnet?
Yes,
Oh, man.
Dragnet.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
with Bill Murray. That's exactly what they're saying. What are they doing in the pools? Oh my!
They're all
goodness.
wearing goat. They're all wearing like big old goat heads, and like they're all dancing around, jumping into a pool of blood.
Filled with narcotics. Oh,
Candles.
look at my pills! I'm feeding children drugs now.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's so funny. And then it's like the reality is, it's like arts and crafts time.
Yeah,
inside.
it's just wow. Yeah, it's like this
Oh,
one
man.
cute little girl that thought it was an arts craft, and she was like, "Well, I like unicorns and the devil. Sure, why not? Let's do it."
Oh man, it's like when I was a kid, and I used to go across, like the kids across the street were pretty cool, and they used to play D&D. It's how I got into D&D. I didn't tell my mom for like a year because I knew, and instantly when she found out, she totally did like the whole, "Oh my gosh, you're playing D&D? Oh, that is satanic, honey. It's satanic. You can't play the D&D. It's the same thing." It's just like they have no idea what they're talking about, and they're just like completely terrified by like whatever the talking bouncing heads on Fox News tell them to be, and it's just ridiculous.
Joe, I'll top you. When my mother found "Shout at the Devil" cassette tape from Motley Crue, she thought, "Oh my God, they're worshiping the devil!" Dun, 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 shout at the
Oh my
devil.
gosh!
Like what?
Oh my
White
gosh.
Snake? You think Whitesnake is worshiping Satan too? Oh my God! Just
Well, my mom thought that about Rush because she couldn't understand 3/4 time.
yeah.
She's like, "What is this music?"
I can't believe it. How dare you?
Oh, that's hilarious. That's one of the funniest things you ever said, Joe. That's hilarious.
Dun, dun,
Well, here we are in the second hour of Night Sounds. Barry Funkhauser here with Josh.
Yo.
And boy, we've got a big exciting. Just making sure I'm not muted. We got a big exciting.
Oh, I
hour
would have
here.
told you.
You would have told. I just like talking
absolutely.
to myself with no one else, just me in a room by myself. Well, here tonight on the program, we're going to bring on our first ever live guest tonight. He is going to the Nord Summit later on next month, and he is in the board of the A Beta Lipoprotein ABL Foundation.
A
Let's bring
beta
on the program.
lipoproteinemia.
Ooh, close. Let's find out how close you are. Paul Bitterman is on the show. Hey, Paul.
Paul.
Oh, let me unmute you. You got to unmute you. You've got to do it, not me.
Sorry about that. Hi, guys.
Hey, there he is.
How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you, Josh?
Not too bad, man. Thanks
Good,
for being
good.
on the show with Barry and I.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, first off, did Josh say it right? Say it again, Josh.
A beta lipoproteinemia.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
All right.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yes, so ABL, as we call it for short, is a very rare disease that I was born with in 1965 and diagnosed in 1966. And I started or helped to start a nonprofit foundation in 2019 called the
All right,
ABL
Josh.
Plus Foundation.
Josh, get all your questions out of the way because I'm well versed in ABL, but you might know nothing about it. So
Yeah, no. So I was just browsing at the definition. I'm going to read it as well as you know, but for individuals out there that don't know the definition, an inherited disorder that impairs the normal absorption of fats and certain vitamins from the diet. Many of the signs and symptoms of A beta lipoproteinemia result from a severe shortage, a deficiency of fat soluble vitamins. There are approximately 100 to 120 cases. One of the first questions is I just took a look at that in general when Barry said I was going to, we were going to be introducing. How do you know that you have a shortage of those fat soluble vitamins?
Well, it's a long process when you're a baby. Now, yeah, when you're a baby, it usually manifests in a very hard time handling any like baby formulas because they're all full of fat. And if you don't, what it is, you don't produce the chemical in your body that digests fat out of your diet. And so therefore the vitamins that are carried by the fat don't get absorbed either. And then later in life, you start manifesting other problems such as neuropathy, which is reduced sensation in your extremities, and blindness, of which I have both. And so that comes on later because you go all these years without having those vitamins in your diet.
Right, and a lot of people don't get this diagnosed until once this happens as a baby, a lot of these doctors don't know what it is because it's such a rare disease, rare case, that they try out a bunch of other stuff before they get to it. So
yeah,
it's very. How many people in the whole world, Paul, have ABL?
Well, he just read that it's at 100 to 120. We think now it's probably closer to 150, but it's hard to tell. We don't know all of them.
So 150 throughout the United States, or is that worldwide?
Worldwide.
Wow. So how initially does that come about that individuals that they go, because that seems to me that when you're born, right, that you have to go through a certain amount of tests. How do you know that doctors are skilled enough to be able to go, oh, you know what, this could quite possibly be a medical condition from Bazin and Kurzweil back in 1950 syndrome? You know, I mean, how does that occur? You know, how does that even begin to show on the radar?
Well, that's the difficult thing, and that is one of the goals of the ABL Plus Foundation, is to raise awareness in the medical community so that when doctors are presented with children that have these symptoms and they can't figure out what's wrong, they look at every other test they can think of and they can't find a solution, that maybe they'll look at this. And the funny thing about ABL, compared to many rare and ultra rare diseases, is that doctors, when they're going through medical school, they actually hear about this illness because it is one of the oldest ones out there. So they're told about it in medical school. But it is so rare. What happens with any doctor with any rare illness is that when someone presents with these symptoms, they go, well, it's got to be something more common. It can't be that. That's too rare. So that's why, we are working as hard as we can to try and raise awareness. I think that's probably our number one goal, is to raise awareness in the patient community, because we get so many patients that don't know what they have and they're searching for answers. And in the medical community, to try and get doctors to say, hey, maybe I should look at this.
So when it comes to the degeneration of the retina of the eyes, resulting in that loss of vision, how long do you think it takes prior to testing that finally they say, hey, look, now we're dealing with the eyes, maybe this is something we should look at?
Well, okay, those types of problems don't come until much later in life. The telltale signs that they look for in babies and young children is, they call it failure to thrive. It's that no matter what they feed the kid can't handle it. They get sick on everything they feed them. And that's the biggest indicator for young children. The neuropathy and the vision problems, that all comes later in life. I just turned 58. I started really showing signs of blindness probably around my early 40s. So that's how long it took for me. And I still have some sight. I'm not completely blind, but I am, according to the state of California, blind, and I can't drive anymore. But yeah, so there are more obvious symptoms on a day-to-day basis that doctors should look for. And there are some very simple tests they can do. And that's the other message we're trying to get out is it literally is a simple blood test that can point them in that direction. And the reason that is because people with ABL, when they look at their red blood cells under a microscope, they're called acanthocytosis. They look like spoked wheels, the blood cells. They don't look normal. And any doctor seeing that should know that's not normal and should then start thinking about, okay, what illnesses would cause that? And this is one of them. So that's the awareness we're trying to get out. That's the battle we're fighting.
Well, then let's start simple. What is NORD and what is NORD's role in the rare disease community?
Well,
NORD.
Before we get to NORD, I have some more ABL questions.
Yeah,
here.
go ahead.
We did talk to, we're about to release a podcast, Paul and I, and it's interviewing and talking to doctors and ABL patients. And Paul, why don't you tell us about one of the two that we've had so far?
The grandparents or the one in her 20s?
What about the one in her 20s? Yeah.
So we have a patient who I actually met at National Institutes of Health about 12 years ago when she was still a teenager. She is now in her 20s, and she went through. She still goes through problems. I mean, we call it a diagnostic journey because I was actually lucky. My mom fought tooth and nail. Thanks, Mom, to get me diagnosed. Because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here. I was that sick at 6 months old. But a lot of kids don't get diagnosed until later. But the person Barry was asking for, she writes poetry and is going to have a book released. And she has some other problems. It's not unusual for rare disease patients to have other physical problems as well, like any person. It's still a human body. It's still, susceptible to other problems as well.
Yeah, so Josh, you're in the great state of Texas.
Yes, sir.
Where Mark Cuban is. I think he's there. And
oh yeah. Is he donating to the cause?
No, he should though, because he's got that new company that's supposed to undersell all the medicine. You can get medicine cheaper with Mark Cuban's thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna tag this video with Mark Cuban's name on it, but Paul, tell Josh how many pills you have to take a day just to function.
Yeah. So the problem with ABL is that we have severe deficiencies in 3 major vitamins. Those are vitamins A, E, and K. So in order to try and combat that, they throw massive doses of these vitamins at us because they can't detect them. They can't detect vitamin E in my blood, so they don't know how much is actually absorbed. So vitamin E is the worst one. Those little 400 IU capsules that you can buy over the counter in the store.
Horse pills, aren't they?
Yeah, big ones.
They're not terrible.
Not bad, but you can almost assume, hey, they're not that big, but hey, I'll do 12 of them.
Okay, I do 36 of them a day.
Yeah, dude, that's a lot.
Wow.
And that's only because they go, well, that's about the most we think you can handle. They probably have me take more if they thought I could handle it.
Now, wait a second. Let me play devil's advocate. How do they know you can't handle it? Is it something that they've attempted and they've tried because you've said you've already taken so many? Or is it something that they've thrown a bottle at you and said, hey, chug them all. Let's test them. Let's see how your body reacts, and you didn't do well?
It's a little bit of both. And really it's about, well, 2 things. With vitamins, number one, vitamins in high doses, like any medication in a high dose, can be toxic. So that's a concern. But the main issue is there comes a point, like anything, where you just go, okay, it doesn't matter how much we throw at you, you're not going to absorb any more. And the problem with vitamin E is since it's not absorbed into our blood, it ends up in our liver. And so so that's the only way they even know it's there. So yeah, there just comes a point where even overkill is overkill. So they don't think you can handle any more than that. So they don't think there's a point in trying to go higher than that.
And I didn't mean to be insulting at all. I'm just, as an individual that's a 2-time kidney transplant patient, I understand that, they attempt to give you a very large quantity of pills. And the number one discussion, and I'm putting that politely, I have with doctors is, well, you don't know my body like I know my body. You see the science of it, but I know what works best for me. And when I basically tell them to go F themselves and I do what I do on my own, and my blood work comes out better than they could have imagined, they have no say to that. There's nothing they can say.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's, they call it medical science. It's a science to a certain extent, but a lot of it's guesswork. And that's no slight to doctors that I know trying to do their best. And we have some amazing doctors on our foundation who are working very hard on these illnesses. But, in my personal case, I'm 58. Other than the blindness and the neuropathy and the vitamin deficiencies, I'm actually doing pretty good. And they don't have an explanation as to why I'm doing better than, the next guy with the same illness who does the same stuff and has the same diet. My diet's not the best. The problem with A-beta is that you can't absorb fat out of your diet, so you can't eat fat because it makes you sick. And so I have to eat an almost non-fat diet. And yeah, I cheat sometimes because you know what? I like pizza. I don't care. And I know that I'll have to deal with the consequences in a day or two, and I do that. But yeah, no, there is science to it, but there's also, your body better than anybody. And the problem with any rare disease like mine is that every time you see a new doctor, you've got to educate them because they don't know anything about it. And they'll tell you they don't know anything about it.
Of course. And you know what, dude, I love hearing that because I can't tell you the first time, when I was really just coming off dialysis and stuff, they said, hey, no red sauce. No this, no that. And what was literally within the first 3 weeks I was doing everything they were saying not to do. And then I was coming back and they're like, hey man, your blood works great. You must be doing exactly what I'm saying. And I would
just nod your head and go, yep, okay.
Yeah, sure. Hey, don't have any alcohol. And I was like, okay. And I do it anyway. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So
yeah, you're in the best of health, Josh. You could tell.
Yeah. Sorry, I was eating peanuts prior to that. But what I like hearing about that, dude, is that it proves everything I've always said. Is that doctors can only do so much. Sure. And we as people know exactly what our bodies can take and not take. And most doctors are forced, whether or not they believe it or not, to accept that. Like you could do what I do and basically freaking lie to them and say, yeah, man, I did all that nonsense. And then they
not only that, but doctors, especially in this country, in America, are so conditioned to worry about lawsuits that everything they do, they diagnose on the light side.
Of course.
Oh no, I'm not going to give you this dosage because you might get sick. I'll give you a lesser dosage.
Absolutely.
And so that's the other problem is that they underdiagnose because they're worried about lawsuits and stuff like that. So,
but at the same time, I used to know enough people that were on dialysis that were so incredibly scared of literally any sort of diagnosis that no matter what the doctor would tell them when they were strapped to the machine, they would go less than that and go, oh my God, I can't. Maybe my body won't. Oh my God. And they would overthink it, right? And my theory was always, as I was strapped to the same machine, was like, well, your brain is your worst enemy. You're convincing yourself that you can't accomplish this or you can't accomplish that. Now, let me tell you this, man. I'm sure dialysis and kidney transplantation and everything else is nowhere near the same level as what you were dealing with. But I do enjoy hearing the fact that everything I always said, that you know your body better than any doctor, no matter how rare the disease, should help other individuals to be able to say, maybe I should trust my body. Maybe I should trust what I have felt every day and not let this overrun everything that I'm experiencing.
Yeah, you're pointing at your brain, and I was going to bring that up because, Paul, I've known you for a year, I think. Feels like forever. But
Yes, thanks.
You're such a positive person. A guy like you could be such an angry, depressed, get off my lawn kind of guy, but you're just optimistic and happy, and every time I talk to you, you're in such a good mood. Do you think that plays a role into your health being good?
Great question.
Absolutely, and it's actually a comment I was going to follow up what Josh was just saying. There came a point in my life where I just had to say, you know what? I've got to enjoy my life. I've got to live my life the best I can live it. There are things that have become difficult for me. Driving is impossible now. I don't work. I don't work for money anyway. But I need to have a life. I'm not gonna, I went through so many horrible tests when I was a kid, and my mom knows this. She's watching tonight, I think. And I made a decision when I became an adult, and I tell doctors this all the time. I told the doctor this the other day. If you want to do a test that's invasive, you're not going to do it on me. Because unless it's an emergency, unless it's something that I absolutely need in order to stay alive, no, I'm not. I've been through it. I've done it. I'm not doing it anymore. You have to realize that you have a life to live regardless of the illness that you have and regardless of what the doctors know or don't know and what they tell you and what they give you. And I realize 100% that there are patients with A beta and the other two illnesses that that come under our purview that are in much worse shape than I am. I know that. My heart goes out to them. It's why at 58 years old I work so hard at this, because I don't want it breaks my heart to hear that there are still kids being born with this. And it's like, and the worst part about that is that a simple test of the parents could tell them that they might pass this on, but nobody tests for it because they don't know to test for it. So that's another issue. But it's too late for me to get a lot of help medically. I'm stable where I'm at. I'm okay. I'm getting by on a day-to-day basis. But my goal with the foundation is to bring awareness so that maybe a doctor in 6 months or a year or 2 years will have an infant in their care that they'll go, hey, maybe it's this. And that child won't have to go through the hell that I went through. We have a patient in New Zealand or Australia or New Zealand. I think he's in Australia, who's at risk of being deported because he has a rare illness, and he's a child, and it's absolutely deplorable. But the Australian government, their insurance won't cover the parents if the parents have a child who has a rare illness. And so the parents are not Australian, they're from another country. And I spoke to them recently, and they're at risk of being deported. And it's really horrible to me that goes on. But on the other hand, we have a patient who I know who, at sort of my suggestion recently, went into a class full of medical students, and the instructor, who is one of our doctors on our boards, who teaches about lipid disorders. This is a lipid disorder, and he was teaching them about lipid disorders, and he goes, "Hey, look, we got a person here who has a lipid disorder." And she came in and she spoke to the class, and they were blown away that they actually met somebody and got to talk to somebody that had one of these illnesses, because they are so rare. And it's a difference between reading about it in a book or hearing about it in a lecture compared to actually meeting somebody and having to deal with them face to face. And that is the awareness we're trying to get out.
Hey, Paul, and let me just throw out a couple of listener comments real quick from Anne Marie Bacino. She wanted to say hi. She said, failure to thrive in an infant and mutation in the MTTP gene. She said, understand that most people dealing with this are first-time parents of infants dealing with an illness and need guidance from the medical profession that they don't have experience to make their own decisions. Can you kind of clarify, add more to that, please?
Yeah, Anne Marie is wonderful. I spoke to her today on the phone. Her grandson has A beta, and she's right. That is, so we look at it from two different angles at the foundation. Number one is trying to educate the medical community to say, hey, maybe I should look at this illness. The other aspect of it, which Anne Marie mentioned, is that we get parents of children who are dumbfounded. They don't know what's going on. Their kid is sick. They don't know what to do. The doctors are telling them, we don't know what's wrong. We give up. My mother was literally told in 1965, sorry, there's nothing we can do for your son. Nothing. And that is a answer we are trying to stop from ever having to be told again. And so we are trying to reach out to the parents and caregivers as well. Because sometimes, yeah, we get parents and caregivers of children who are babies or toddlers. Other times we get them when they're teenagers or in their 20s. So we're trying to educate people in general about what these illnesses are. And they are out there. And there's probably more than we know about. And that's the problem, is that there's so few of us, but we don't know how many there really are.
So it's a matter of trying to find some sort of foundation or someone that has, and I hate to use the word clout, right, to be able to tell these doctors exactly what that is. I can only go back to how back in the early 70s that my parents learned what was going on with mine, and I went through what was called Eagle-Barrett syndrome. And at the time, it was less than 1 in 170,000 infants were born with this very rare disease. And initially, they would tell parents that your child will not survive past 6 years old. And that was that. That was all the science had to say. And as time went on, within that small gap of 6 years, they would go out and tell them, hey, if your child did live past this, there is a good chance that they would have kidney failure. And now it's, I think I read the recent stats for Eagle-Barrett syndrome. Prader-Willi syndrome was 1 in 250,000. But I'm interested in the fact that what you've said and that that Anne Marie had said, how can you tell these doctors to be, out of everything you've ever studied, how do you say, hey, by the way?
Yeah, I can answer that for Paul. I can, because this goes right into where
Barry knows. Yeah.
We're going to Nord. It's all about education.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Barry.
And so, Paul, this is like Disneyland for rare diseases, you know? This is like Comic-Con for rare diseases, right? Tell us about Nord, and it's coming up in October. Tell us about this summit that you're going to.
Yep, NORD is the National Organization of Rare Disorders. I'm trying to. I wish I need to watch the video from last year. I believe they said there are something like 7,000 rare disorders in the world, and 98% of them have no treatment or cure. Ours has a treatment. It's the vitamins. But so they have this annual meeting called the NORD Summit, which is coming up in October in Washington, D.C., if I can speak clearly. And they bring together people from rare disease foundations such as ours, and pharmaceutical companies and policymakers, and they bring us all together in this thing. And okay, there's lectures. Yeah, we sit there and watch some lectures, some of which are very interesting. I'm sure Nord would want me to say they're all fabulously interesting, and they are. But there's also networking opportunities to network with other foundations like mine, and to network with pharmaceutical companies and say, hey, what can you do for us? What can we do for you? We are so new in the ABL Plus Foundation that when I went to the summit last year, I had no idea what to expect. I had never been to anything like this in my life. I didn't know what it was all about, but I went. And my takeaway from it was, wow, we have a lot of work to do. We are so behind in where we should be at this point. We have a ton of work to do. And here it is now, fast forward a year later, and we still have a ton of work to do. We've made strides. To answer one question that Josh brought up, though, about how do you tell these doctors to look for these illnesses, A, it's a simple blood test can point them in that direction, like I mentioned earlier. B, there's been a lot of documentation written about it in medical journals, including our doctors from the foundation have written letters about each of the and articles about each of the vitamins that A beta patients are required to take, and those are published, and patients or their families can get those documents and give them to the doctors. But really, the other biggest battle that we haven't mentioned yet, and I know we're here to talk about NORD Summit, and I'll get back to it in a minute, is here in America, vitamins are not considered medication. And so how do I get 36 pills a day of vitamin E? I can't afford that. I'm very lucky in that they are provided to me through a source, but we have patients who spend thousands of dollars a month on vitamins. And it's because they go to their insurance companies, and their insurance companies say, oh, no, that's a supplement. That's a dietary supplement. You don't need that. And they won't cover it. And that's our other battle, is to try and get the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies to realize that these vitamins are as required a medication for patients with these illnesses as insulin for a diabetic or heart medication for a heart patient or anything else. It keeps us alive just like any of the others. And that's the other battle.
But I think that's another great reason why you have these summits, why you can be able to sit in front of individuals that can hear exactly what is required for individuals such as yourself and the woman that commented early, for, to be able to understand this is what works. This is what is needed. It's incredibly rare. But this is what we do, which brings me more to the NORD thing. What's NORD's role in the rare disease community?
I think NORD would say that they have multiple roles. That they advocate for patients and caregivers, of course. They push research through grants and through putting, people in front of people. They constantly tell us about what are called FDA listening panels, where the FDA will have people come in and tell them about, what they need, and then they can decide on whether or not a policy is needed. They push policy. They push the federal government towards getting policies done. The NORD Summit is actually called the NORD Orphan Product Summit. And what an orphan product is, which I didn't even know what that term meant. An orphan product is a product that is developed, usually a drug, but it could also be a medical device or something like that, that is developed for a very small segment of the population. I think it's like less than 1%, something like that. And so they call it an orphan drug or an orphan product. And so that's the other goal of the summit, is to put the companies in front of us that develop these drugs and develop these products, and we can tell them, hey, can you this is what we need. Maybe you can work towards that.
Who gets to attend this summit?
So my understanding of it is that they invite member foundations such as ours. They invite students. I think it's medical students that get to go, and they invite these companies and CEOs and guys like that, pharmaceutical reps, people like that. As far as foundations who are members of NORD, like we are, they actually provide what they call a scholarship. They're paying for me to go. They're paying for me to come from California to be there. They pay for the hotel. They pay for the flights, everything. So it's a great opportunity for me personally, because I don't have the money to do that kind of thing on my own. So that's wonderful. And so, yeah, that is what they would say they do, I think, is that they advocate in a number of different directions to try and I think the ultimate goal, of course, would be to eradicate rare diseases.
Of course. Does it require any sort of membership, or is the ABL Foundation? If so, is the ABL Plus Foundation a member? Anything like that, or
we are
elaborate on that?
Yeah, we are. So NORD does have a membership system. If you go to the website, they list all the different rare disease foundations that are members of NORD. We were founded in 2018 or 19, and we were admitted into NORD in 2020, which was one of the fastest ever admitted into NORD. And it's because we're so rare, I think, that they realize that, hey, we need to bring these people into the fold. So, yeah. And now you don't have to be a member to go to the summit, but generally, yes.
Okay. And so Josh, I think you lived in DC. Josh lived in DC before. If I'm not mistaken, he was there in radio. Yeah. And, Paul, this is your second time over there.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a vacation, right? Do you feel like you're on vacation when you're over there, or is it all just like, oh, gotta leave my name tag on everywhere I go?
It's a little bit of both. Now, the way the summit works is that so the summit is actually Monday and Tuesday, October 16th and 17th this year. But anyone who receives these scholarships, as they call them, they have to be there Sunday night for a meeting. And so the only way I can get from California to be there at 4 o'clock on Sunday is to go Saturday night. So yeah, I get to do a little bit of sightseeing, not a whole lot. Last year, took the subway to Bethesda, Maryland, and had some Maryland crab. Nice. It's not much, but then once the summit starts, it's amazing. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once the summit starts, it's all business, and it's all 8-hour days, and it's long
What did
days.
you learn last year? What was your takeaways last year? Do you remember?
The biggest thing, like I said, was that we had so much work that I didn't even know we had to do. Mm-hmm. I met people from foundations that had they have patient registries. I don't know what a patient registry is. I've never heard of a patient registry. It's a database of the patients that have an illness that doctors can go to and say, okay, I want to do a research study on this illness. I need people who fit this criteria, that criteria, and this criteria. Do you have anybody who fits all these requirements? Without a registry, we can't answer that. So we learned we need to start a registry, and yeah, that was the biggest thing though, was that I I thought going into it that we had done a lot. We had gotten these letters written and about the vitamins, and I thought we had done pretty good. And then I realized once I was there that no, there's foundations for very rare diseases that are much bigger than us, that have done a lot more work than us, and that's where we need to be, and that's where we're going, slowly but surely.
But that's okay though, right? Like that you almost need that as a motivation to be able to go, okay, I got it now. I'm going to double my efforts the next time around. And then you do that so you can kind of, you be that individual that steps up because you're prepared. But now the time has gone on. What I don't want to hear is you go, hey, I didn't have a good place to stay or a good strip club or a good experience for the city. I was totally prepared for my job, right? But, experiencing life, I wasn't prepared for that. In this point, yeah, you need that first one, right? You need that good chin check to go, oh my God, there is a lot of other very rare diseases I didn't even think of before. Before I spoke to you today, did you ever hear of Eagle-Barrett syndrome?
No.
I mean, and this is our first time having a conversation. And I can guarantee you now, there isn't anyone on the Congress floor helping my thing, anything that I did, which has me think a lot more. But we're talking about you this time. My overall thought, though, right, is that every time you research what you're trying to do, not only to better yourself, but better the very few individuals that are dealing with it, that you're going to be not only prepared, but beyond prepared to a point that no matter who has a question for you, you're going to be able to answer it. So I like hearing that every time you go into it, you're ready, man. You're ready for a battle. That's great, man. I like
Let me
it.
ask you. Let me ask you. Are you going to speak at all? Are they going to have you get up there and say something? Say a few words?
No, I wouldn't mind it. It wasn't an opportunity that was presented to me. I wouldn't mind talking to Nord about that, and maybe next year or in a future year. But no, I'm not going to speak. But it's. I go into it this year with a whole different outlook and a whole different attitude, because now I'm like, okay, now I know what we need. Who's going to be there that can help us get that? Because last year I didn't know. I didn't know what to do or who to talk to or anything. And I don't know who to talk to right now, but I'm going to try and find out.
So do you have somebody that, do you have somebody that can help you out with that? An individual with some sort of doctorate degree, or somebody that, you have embraced with everything you're dealing with, that can help do more research than anything you've ever thought of, though? I mean, I just think of, individuals, I'll just throw this out. Let's say autism, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are so many individuals that, you can go parents dealing with it. You can go doctors that are trying to understand it. Yours is way, way less than that. Do you have somebody that can be able to be your Iron Man or woman that can say, hey, I'm going to help you out with this, Paul. I've done this amount of research. Let me take it from here and help you achieve this kind of goal, to help you get something out of this summit?
Yes, so we do. We have some doctors. All of our doctors on our board are amazing, and they're all doing work in this field in different areas. And I can go to them and say, I don't know what to look for, who to talk to, or whatever, and they'll hook me up with people and say, hey, go find this person while you're at the summit and talk to them. And actually, we're having a board meeting before the summit. And that's one thing that we need to discuss is, okay, who can I talk to while I'm there? Who do we know that's going to be there? And I actually, after last year, I came back and I had discussions with other foundations, some of which had been at the summit, some of which had not, that our doctors put me in touch with, because I had questions. I had so much questions about what do we do? Where are we at? Well, how do we get to where we want to be? And these people had foundations that could answer some of those questions and give me guidance. And I feel like we've come a long way in the last year. We had our first ever international symposium over Zoom back in, I think it was February or March, where we got some patient stories, and then we had a panel of doctors who discussed everything about A beta and the other two illnesses and what they are and how they're treated and how they're diagnosed and all this stuff. And those videos are on our YouTube channel. That's all that's on our YouTube right now. That needs to change, but that's something we never would have considered doing before a year ago. So yeah, we're making strides, and yes, I do feel like I have support. I feel like we need more. We always need more. We always need more support from our community. We always need more support from our doctors, who obviously are very busy. But one day at a time, we'll do what we can. This morning, there was a NORD webinar on fundraising, which is something we had not done. And so I went to that, and Anne Marie went to that this morning, and we listened in on that. And I think we agreed after the fact that, okay, that was all good information, but that was point Y. We're still on point B. So we're not even close to being able to do what they're doing, but it was good to hear how they do it. So that's the kind of stuff that we need to do.
But that's a good point, though. You almost need to see stuff like that from individuals that have taken it past the ABC levels. You need to see things like that. So you, not only yourself, but an individual like Anne Marie that seems very vocal and very into it, to be able to say,
she's giving you a hard time.
Yeah, no, I'm just happy someone actually commented. To be quite honest with you,
Yeah.
someone's actually interacting, and she was
Anne Marie's
very vocal.
She's a great person.
Great, which is great. So no, I hope you can develop more out of that.
No, I hope so too. I hope I come back this year and go, okay, well, I learned how to do this, and I'm in contact now with that company and this organization, and maybe we can kick some stuff off now and get some more things in the works. We're building a new website as I speak right now, and fundraising is great, but as Anne Marie and I talked about today, we got to define what it is we're raising funds for. We don't even know what we want to raise money for, so we got to do that. We got to define that, and this will all help. And I'll come back this year with more information and having learned more, and God willing, I'll maybe go next year and be in an even better place and learn more again. And, one day at a time. That's, I have to keep telling myself that this foundation is only 3 years old. And we were founded literally months before COVID, when the world stopped for 9 months. I didn't hear from the doctors on our board for 9 months. I thought it was dead. So, they were too busy. And so the fact that we're still here and we're still advocating for our community, which is a very small community, but it's a community that has needs. And we're global. We have people in Israel. We have people in South America. We have people in England. We have people in Canada. We have people all over the world. There's only very few of us in this country that have it. I think most of the people that have it, there are clusters of them. There's a big cluster in Israel. It's funny too, because they originally, when I was younger, they used to think it was a Jewish disease.
Ooh.
And then they figured out, oh no, there's non-Jews that have it too. So yeah, they used to think that it was only a Jewish illness.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, how did that initially start, to where it was predominantly Jews that, were very vocal about it?
I don't think it's about being vocal. I think it's just about being diagnosed. I think there's a better than good chance. I'd say there's a certainty that there have been A beta patients probably for hundreds, if not thousands of years, but they never got diagnosed, because you mentioned Bassett-Cornswag, which was the original name of the illness. named after the two doctors who originally diagnosed it. That was the 1950s. So what happened? You can't tell me nobody before the 1950s had it. They just were never diagnosed, and we still get people who are not diagnosed. And that's the thing that pisses me off. We have a gentleman who recently joined our community who's in his 20s, and he wasn't diagnosed until he was 18. And it's how he even survived that long with A beta is crazy, but he did. And how do you go 18 years and nobody diagnosed it? And the only way it was diagnosed was his mom worked she's not a phlebotomist, but she works in a lab or something like that. And she said to him one day, they knew he had problems. They knew he had something was wrong all these years, but they didn't know what. And she said to him one day, hey, do you want to see your blood under a microscope? And he said, yeah. And this goes back to what I said earlier. They looked under the microscope and the woman knew enough to go, those red blood cells don't look right. There's something wrong with them. And they went back to their doctors and they pointed it out. And that led to the diagnosis.
I also heard, according to Ann Bacina, who just posted, she also said African due to consanguineous relations.
What is that word?
Consanguineous? I don't know. I'm trying, man.
That's a good word.
Come on, I like that. Mel just posted, Paul has been a real champion for people and caregivers, using his experience, giving his experience a voice to encourage others to step up and really raise awareness, which is why we're really bringing up the NORD and everything going on with that. And said related individuals is really what that's all about.
I see.
That's
people being together. Yeah.
It's really amazing about related individuals. So if you know anything about genetic disorders, both parents have to have the gene, and they both have to pass it on. So when two parents with a defective gene, the gene in this case is called the NTTP gene, if they have the defective NTTP gene and they have a child, there's still only a 1 in 4 chance that they'll pass it on, because both parents have to pass on the gene. And yet we have cases, we have a family in Hawaii that I heard of. I think there's 7 kids with it. And they go, that's statistically impossible. It's not possible for a family to be born with that many children that have it, but they are. They're there. And I think there's something like that in Israel as well. So yeah, as far as relations go, yeah, it's genetics is a crazy thing. Nobody knows what to make of it yet. There's discussions. We get a lot of questions these days about gene therapy. Who will gene therapy help? Maybe someday. I asked our doctors that recently, and they said the problem with A beta and these other 2 illnesses is, and by the way, I should get their names out there. The other 2 are called familial hypobeta-lipoproteinemia and chylomicron retention disorder, which I believe CMRD has like 10 people that have it. It's that rare. But the answer about genetic gene therapy is that in order for gene therapy to work, you have to be able to get the synthesized or the corrected genes into the person's body, so that the body then goes, oh, this is what it should look like, and starts producing cells that are identical to the gene therapy. The problem with a gastrointestinal illness like this is that the cycle of producing these enzymes, as they're called, is so fast that gene therapy wouldn't work, is what I was told. Because we can't get it into the body fast enough for the body to recognize, hey, I got to change the way these cells are being made and make new ones that are corrected. So gene therapy, maybe in the future, gene therapy might help. I know one of the doctors told us recently that Health spent thousands of hours on trying to use gene therapy on GI rare diseases and just couldn't. It just didn't work because of that.
Well, there's a lot more science to go down. It sounds like a superheroes festival that you're going to.
A little bit.
All of these rare. You should do a contest and find the rarest person at Nord, like
Mm.
1 out of a million.
I felt like I was the rarest when I went, but Iona.
Come on, Barry, give it to him. Go let him have the first year. Come on, dude.
No, Paul, I want you to meet people. I want you to have meet some friends on the East Coast or wherever they're coming in from, and come away with this with more intel than you did last time. Now you know what to expect. The
Mhm.
first year is always the weirdest one because it's like, oh, I got to go to like building 28, and it's like, where am I going? Who am
Mhm.
I? So this time I think you know what's up, and you probably have some allies at this point. So
Yeah.
you come back with a lot of good
Th-
knowledge.
Thankfully, it's all in one hotel. But yeah, it was overwhelming last year. I'll tell you that. If you guys will have me, I would love to come on after the summit and tell you what
Yeah,
went on, and
of course,
and
yes,
tell
absolutely.
you what people I beat up, and and see what happens.
I want to
Get in
know
a
all.
really good
Yeah,
argument.
of course. I want to know all the ABL plus groupies. I want to know. All of
Ooh,
it. man.
groupies.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Anne Marie is a groupie apparently, so that's
Yeah,
good.
Marie. Really? Okay. She's very knowledgeable.
She
Yeah.
is.
No,
She-
man. We'd love to have you on. We'd love to know more. Barry introduced this to me about a week ago. I've been doing a lot of research. I find it incredibly fascinating. So whatever you can have for us, yes, we'd love to have you back on the show and learn more.
I appreciate that, and I want to say, and Josh, thank you very much for the research that you've done and your very wonderful questions. But I especially want to say thank you to Barry, because before I met Barry, there was no media related to ABL. We had nothing, and Barry has done amazing working with me to try and get this awareness out there and these podcasts made and this show and. Thank you, Barry. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. I couldn't do this without you. And what good is media if it doesn't do good for somebody?
Absolutely.
So, thanks for coming on, Paul. You have an open door policy anytime there's breaking news in the world of rare diseases and sports. Is there still hockey going on right now? What's the team that you're going for right now?
Believe it or not, the LA Kings are in Australia right now playing exhibition games tomorrow and Saturday against the Arizona Coyotes. What the heck they're doing down there, I don't know. Get them back to the United States.
Trying to stay cool, man. Trying to stay cool.
But yes, NHL season opens in the first week in October, and I can't wait. As I always say, the best thing about football season starting is that means hockey season's around the corner.
That's great. I mean, the Angels keep wanting, or the Ducks, the Anaheim Ducks, keep sending me email blasts. I went to one game, and now they're emailing me everything. Hey, we've got a new collector's mug. Please come back to a game.
Ain't nobody want to go to that.
No,
nobody.
I've been to one Ducks game as well. It was against the Kings, of course. It was in the 90s when Gretzky was still playing for the Kings, and I walked out back then. I still smoked, and I walked out of the arena during one of the intermissions, and I'm standing there having a cigarette, and these two Duck fans were standing next to me, and that was when they were called the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, and one of them said to the other, I swear to God, he goes, that Gretzky guy's pretty good. Really? You just figured that out? Come on. That Gretzky guy's pretty good. Okay, then.
I got to go with Anne Marie posting here. She says, "Go New Jersey Devils." Thank you. We appreciate all you gentlemen for doing you're doing for the ABL community. New Jersey Devils, not a bad hockey team. It depends.
I'm actually from New York originally, so
yeah. So I get you're like, we don't know.
Hey, I have no affiliation. If they're good, I'm in.
I'll watch
if
it.
they can
I'll
get
watch
the
it.
Ball in the hole.
The ball in the holes. You see,
he's a real hockey fan here.
There you go. Dude. How to answer that question right there, Paul. Yeah. Let's get the whole. Yeah, let's get some strikes in hot.
No, I know
I'll
that.
have to educate Barry on hockey. I see.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, that's fine.
We'll
Hey,
ask you about that too. That's no problem.
All right,
I'm always happy to talk about the LA Kings.
all right, nice.
Thanks, Paul, for being on. This is Night Sounds.
Thanks, guys. Good job, guys.
There's this NASA astronaut, guys, that has broken the record for the longest space flight by an American astronaut. Frank Rubio broke the record, and he spent more than 355 days in outer space or inner space. What's the difference? We'll talk about it in a minute. Here, let's check this out.
All right.
Finally tonight, a record-breaking trip to space for an American astronaut. Now they're nearly a year, but as Sam Brock reports, his history-making space odyssey wasn't actually planned.
And you see Frank Rubio on the right.
As far as records go,
Having an opportunity to say goodbye one final time.
when American astronaut Frank Rubio set off on his mission to space last September, he wasn't planning on breaking any.
And liftoff, a sunset start to the mission of Rubio.
But a trip to the ISS, scheduled for 6 months, required an astronomical audible when the spacecraft sprang a leak. The trip now breaking an American record of 355 days.
It was unexpected. In some ways, it's been an incredible challenge, but in other ways, it's been an incredible blessing.
A new spacecraft won't return this crew until late September at the earliest, meaning not only have they counted off all the major holidays,
A happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays!
but Rubio will become the first American in space for more than a calendar year. He exercises 2 hours a day, conducts experiments and video conferences with his family, but missed his now college-age son heading off to West Point.
As much as it was a challenge for me as a father to miss all those things, it was also a pretty proud moment to see Deb and the kids just thrive and overcome.
From 250 miles above, Rubio has a message that still holds great gravity.
There's very few things in life that we accomplish individually, and almost everything big that we accomplish as humanity requires incredible teamwork.
From Earth, Sam Brock, NBC News.
Yeah, from Earth. Pretty good, man. So that's a nice, heartwarming story.
Let me tell you, that is very Latino. When a Latino is lost, whether it's in space or on the highway, you just start making up stuff. You just start saying, hey, I got to a place and all of a sudden it was awesome and I did this and I did that. Orale, that's great, man. I survived. Very Latino. I love it. Thank God.
Yeah, hold on, Josh.
Representing, Holmes.
You can say that because you're like what?
I'm
52%.
Hispanic. Absolutely. I'm over
52%. Very, very specific.
Very
Wow.
Hispanic. I can say that. I'm allowed as a fellow Latino that has done that very thing of just when people say, hey, why didn't you go somewhere? Hey, man, I was exploring and I got lost. And then all of a sudden it just happened. And, life. And how dare you assume that I would do anything? I love
Yeah,
it.
Barry, how dare you?
How dare you, Barry?
And that's also why Josh claps on the radio because he's just half Hispanic.
Dude, I was watching that going, dude, how very Hispanic. Good for you, bro. Good for you. Hey, I don't know where I went. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Oh man.
So Barry, do you know the difference between inner space and outer space?
I don't know where the line is. Is there a line?
There's no line. Inner space. Inner space.
Inner
space.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, the answer is yes. I do know the difference because inner space is in our atmosphere. Like we can float around in it.
Inner space is in our heads. It's our thoughts. It's our feelings. Outer space is out there. You're talking about the different levels of the atmosphere.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Inner space is within, is what you're telling me?
Yes. Yeah. See, you learn something new every day. I took a psychology class once. I know this.
That's great. I love, see, and right there, is what will keep the Hispanic man from getting overtime in space. So you just screwed everything up for the poor guy, because some white guy in HR will go, well, inner space, here's why I don't agree with you going so far. Yeah.
Have you guys been able to see like anything out in outer space, not inner space, because now we know that inner space is within. Have you been able to see like Starlink going by or anything cool?
Yes. Now that someone has pointed out, of course, it's social media, right? And I always thought when you see something, you see a couple of lights like lining up like that. I always thought, well, who knows, man? I don't know what stars are doing, whatever. Now that I learned that that's what Starlink is, especially here in Texas and Austin, now I kind of understand that. I'm some dumbass that was pretending before, man, that's aliens. Holy cow, I'm gonna contact family and friends. No, it's Starlink and whatnot. So yeah. And let me tell you, I now know where the moon and Jupiter, and I can finally do that and not come.
Oh, you know what planets come up when? And
I know
where and all that?
exactly. I know. I finally have learned all of that, and I can be on a date and be like, well, that's
look up at the stars.
Look up
You
at
see
the
that
stars.
one over there? That's Polaris. That's the
Exactly.
North Star.
When are you ready? Are you ready to see my anus tonight? I mean, let's
Hey,
go.
careful.
Hey, what? Oh,
I think that's okay, but I shouldn't think.
Oh, it's
you
don't need to think. You don't need. We've learned you don't need to think on this show. You don't need to. It's okay, Barry.
Hey, that
It's
was pretty
okay.
good, right, Josh? Did you learn anything with Paul there on the ABL Foundation?
Dude, what a great, absolute great guy, man. I have to admit, when you first sent me a lot of that, I didn't understand what it was, and the amount of research I did.
Welcome to my world, man. Every time I do this show, and
it's
I
amazing.
don't know
dude.
anything.
No,
That's
it's
the
great. It's great. And I like that we had some people. There's a woman by the name of Gisela Victoria. She said, Paul, thank you for giving us a voice. Obviously, he is a guy that has really that's helping that community out. I hope, for whatever we can do in our small community right now on radio. We're not huge just yet. Hopefully we can do what we can and help a cause like that. And I think it's great that maybe we're introducing something to individuals that were never familiar with it. So good job.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch with him. Paul is a friend of the program. We'll have him on anytime there is news, and when he's back from the National Organization of Rare Disease Summit.
Good
Very
job.
exciting.
There you go. That's
Well,
the
I wanted-
easiest one. You cheated. That's the easiest one.
yeah.
I was dishing out the hard stuff. So
You want to try to say it one more time before we move on?
what, the Nord or just
A beta lipopronemia.
yeah, man, the
I
a
said it,
beta lipoproteinemia.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
I love words. I love long words.
There was
You can
another
get
one.
that
I was
triple word.
reading it on the website for the ABL Foundation. They have a very good explanation if you're not familiar with it. It says our mission. There was another word, hypolipidemia. Hold on, let me try it again. Related.
Oh, wow. Take two. Okay.
Hypolipidemias, such as chylomicron retention disease and familial hypo-beta-lipoproteinemia. Woo!
Uh-huh.
Man,
Just trying
that's
to say it
that's
very,
wow. Those are some
big words.
wow,
Triple words.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
learning words like that. So
Bigger words, please. Let's keep those big words
keep
coming
it
here on
going.
Night Sounds. You know what I mean?
ABLfoundation.org. Go take a look at it. Go research. Barry and I did as much as possible, but great foundation. Good stuff, Barry. Good job, man.
Now I wanted to get to this story. I didn't want Paul involved because he is going on a flight. So I wanted to save this for just us because you and I, Josh, we ain't going anywhere. You're in San Antonio. I'm in SoCal. We're just kicking it. You know, gas is over here. It's $6 a gallon.
Dude, dude, your neck of the woods has been trending, dude. On I know you don't do the tickety talk, but dude, over $7 a gallon.
Well, that's just that one. There's this one gas station that they always. It's clickbait because there's one gas station that's $2 more. I'm hip to that. Yeah, that's but it is like $5.90.
That's still nuts, dude. That's still nuts, man. I'm still paying $3.27 a gallon.
Still outrageous, man.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
So we're not going anywhere. So I wanted to talk about this United Airlines flight. I don't know if you read the news here. It was going to Rome from New Jersey. So you can picture all of the people inside of this airplane going to Rome, Italy. I think Rome, Italy, right? There's a lot of Romes, but let's assume it's the Italy one.
I can only imagine what those people were like.
It's just after midnight. You can smell the plane.
Oh, no.
And there was a ding over the cabin to address a possible loss of cabin pressure. It dropped. How many? 9,000. It dropped from 37,000 feet to 9,000 feet in 8 minutes. So it's just like dive bombing, dropping. And so you can imagine what's going on inside of the airplane. United Airlines Flight 510 returned safely to Newark Liberty International Airport just after midnight after a pressurization issue, according to the FAA. And customers were taken to their destination on a different plane. I'm sure they were quite fine about it at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning after that.
Right.
Their ears are popping. And boy, what a story, man. So, you know, I've never had a disaster happen or emergency on an airplane, but I always think about it. So you can imagine.
Dude, that's a horrible thing to think about because let me tell you, how often do you think, you know, I don't fly a lot, right? I don't have a lot of money to go on these flights. So it falls under the category of ignorance is bliss, right? Hey, if my baggage goes through and I don't have anybody saying anything, a salute, even better. If I make it through security, even better. If I go through the little, I'm waiting at the little terminal counter and now I'm sitting at my seat, I'm like, you know what? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. There's nothing I can possibly do. So when you tell me stories like that, I think, okay, well, I'm the dude that's going to sit there, put on my headphones, crank up the 9-inch nails, and I don't give a rat's ass what's going on.
It'll be fun. It's like a roller coaster ride.
Let's go, baby. Whatever happens, happens. I've said my goodbyes to people I care about. I'm out. I don't care. I don't care. I'm done.
You're so dark, Josh. Playing your 9-inch nails as the plane goes down, rocking out. I mean,
dude, I'm thinking, blasting heresy. God is,
it's
and
probably
no
a good idea.
one cares. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, I hope it doesn't happen to any of us, but if it does, I hope you have a good time.
Hey, I'm gonna be like this, Barry.
You're gonna be listening to a song we can't play on the radio. That's what's
happening.
Dude,
I'm gonna be cranking The Becoming. I'm gonna crank, Eraser, everything from The Fragile. Yeah, no, I'm gonna be cranking all that stuff. Hey, dude, what do I care? I've survived so much in my life. If that's how my maker decides I go, I'm gonna be like this, like it's a Six Flags ride. Going, all right, whatever.
Hands in the air.
Whatever. It is what it is.
Well, let's just not go on a plane together. Or should we?
Oh, dude, we should. Look, the show's going to be huge. We're going to have we're going to get some Instagram model that I talked to after a while sliding into her DM. She's going to have us on a private plane. We're going to be going places, with the ABL Plus.
It's definitely who you're talking to if you're sliding into DMs. It's not, it's not like a guy trying to get your Cash App. You think it's some supermodel.
Here's my Venmo. Yeah.
And his name is like George
Yeah, George Stephanopoulos. No, that dude better hook us up. That's all I'm saying. We hook him up with the ultimate story, the ABL. Oh, dude, yeah, and he'd say, "Hey, come on, Barry, you, Josh, the bald guy in Hawaii, barely surviving off coconuts. Why don't you guys come on out? Let's live life, dog."
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Well, this is the time of night I wave goodbye to you, Josh, because we're
Yes,
gonna
sir.
head on over to another interview with Joe and our buddy Shadwick Wild.
Oh,
Stay
nice.
tuned. This is Night Sounds.
Good night, guys.
Well, you're tuned in and watching Night Sounds. Here I am, Barry Funkhauser. That's right, Barry Funkhauser. And you got to point the other way. Once again,
it's for you over there. Dang it, man! This new video thing just really bugs me crazy. Okay, he's over there. I'm ready.
Joe is with us today, and let's welcome to the program Shadwick Wild.
Hello. There, over. I don't know. He's there.
We'll never get the pointing right. It's upside down and backwards.
Oh, okay. Fine. Hi, Chad. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, how are you? For me, it looks like I'm in the middle.
You are in the middle. We always put
You're in
the
the
guys
middle.
so we can kind of.
Yeah, you're our friend in between. You're the meat in our sandwich.
Right.
The meat
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
You want to feel bad. It's not a good sandwich.
It's a good sandwich. It's a good sandwich.
As an
So-
artist, I'm used to being treated like a piece of meat. Part of the game, I suppose.
Well, and you've been doing it for a while. We caught the video for Easy Rider the other day. Me and Joe watched it, and I really loved it. It's like made on. Looks like it's probably filters, but like 35 millimeter. And
No, it's actually shot on real analog 16 millimeter film. My friend Scott Carney, who from the band Waxbang, is also a beautiful filmmaker, and we wanted to do this home video style. He has this little handheld point and shoot 16 millimeter film, and he sends that away to get developed, and then it's digitally edited at the end.
So
what you're seeing is the magic of real analog.
So is it like the Zapruder film? Is that what you guys shot on? Is it like the? Did you get like the grassy knoll shot and stuff with your little tiny camera and your 16
It's definitely
millimeter
from
film?
that era. Yeah, it's from that era.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. It's like it
I
looks
wish I
Zapruder filmish.
was more of a film guy, because he told me all about the camera, and it's the sought after. I mean, if you go to YouTube and look at the video, it says all that stuff, because he was like, people love this stuff. There's like people who are into these cameras.
So, Shadwick, wow, you suddenly sound a lot better. What is that? Magic, I guess. Anyway, so yeah, I was we were talking about your music video and how it's 16 millimeter and it's really cool for nerds that like video.
Film nerds. Oh, yeah.
Film. It's like actually on the little strips of, it's beautiful. It's like this, it's really an experience. And the things that there's a special little thing that happens when the film is about to run out, where it starts to change colors and you can never quite predict what it's going to do. And we used a few frames of that stuff that has just some really magic light things that it does. Anyway, thank you for plugging my music video.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
Barry,
it's good.
That's the part of the music video when we were like, oh man, they're using some crazy filters right here. Oh, I wonder what they got in like the post production. Nope, no post production, just old film.
Yep.
It's wild, man.
Some analog magic.
Oh,
So
do you
you're one
guys
of those-
do- Oh, I just speaking of analog, just
Yeah.
real quick. Do you do analog recording for your music as well? Have you ever done that?
Yes, sometimes. I think that I've tried it both ways and really tried to be honest with myself about the differences in sound quality between analog tape and digital recording. And it is true that that analog has a special kind of magic, but it is also true that the most important thing is capturing the moment that's happening. So like however you do that, if you could do a 16-track analog tape recording when everyone did their part separately, and it might not have the same kind of magic as if you recorded a room of musicians playing into a digital medium, if that makes sense at all.
Oh no, absolutely. I actually was way back in the early days. I was a third engineer at a recording studio in Santa Barbara, and we used analog. And it was at like at the beginning of the digital era. And so a lot of artists were coming in and experimenting with the digital, and they were unable to recreate or recapture that analog magic that they found. But they did use digital early in the day when they just wanted to like crank something out real quick. I feel like it's the reverse now. You know, it's like they all use digital and then they want to crank something out real quick. I don't know. Maybe they still use digital. I don't know. Maybe they put it on analog real quick. I'm not even sure. But
I do know that everyone has their own way, and everyone must decide what their own way is. So
I like your way, Shad.
I like your way the best.
That's right. And okay, so tell us about your upbringing. I read here that you spent some time in Havana, Cuba. Is that right?
Yes, en La Habana, Cuba, sí, por supuesto. My mother at the time was making a documentary about the queer scene in Havana, and this was in the early 90s. I was, 5 or 6 years old, and not to age myself, but I went to school there for a while, all Spanish-speaking school, and wore the uniform, and we participated fully in the culture there, and it was a really beautiful, informative thing, and especially Cuban music. That was some of the first songwriting that I was exposed to, with songwriters like Silvio Rodriguez and Pablo Milanés. So, yeah, grateful for that experience for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's a weird place to live. Go ahead, Joe. Ask some questions.
Oh no, it must have been an awkward experience because I'm assuming that your parents are American, and you're also American.
My mom is half American, half Dutch, half Kentuckian, and she's who raised me. So yeah.
So I'm just wondering, like, the 90s. It's not like Americans could just go to Cuba. I mean, we've
no, there was technically a blockade, and that we were technically breaking the blockade, the travel restrictions. What it says there is it doesn't actually say that you can't travel to Cuba. It says that you can't spend money in Cuba. So unless someone can prove that you went there and you spent money and you helped their economy by your tourism, then they generally won't prosecute you.
So. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, that's an interesting twist. It does sound like something that. Well, you have an upbringing now that literally 99.99999% of Americans could never experience growing up in Cuba. That's an incredible experience, and that music scene there is so prevalent that I can even tell that how it influenced your music now.
Well, I don't want to give the impression that I grew up there. I did spend some time there as a kid. But yeah, we moved around a lot, and I grew up in.
Yeah, I was gonna take you on the globe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna do the whole thing.
I was gonna ask you about Amsterdam, but I was gonna go from Cuba to Kentucky because that's where you're at now, right? You went from Cuba to Kentucky.
Well, I went from San Francisco to Cuba back to San Francisco to Amsterdam and then to Kentucky. But yes, the cultural differences. Actually, it's funny that Louisville, where I am based, has a really vibrant Cuban community, and it's one of the larger ones in the country. And so that's been really interesting. We worked with the Cuban filmmaker for the music video for Mont Blanc, which is a band that my band Quiet Hollers did, a song that we did some years back. But yeah, and obviously the music and the culture and the color and the just being by the sea, those are all things that are to me very romantic, and I do keep them close to the heart.
Yeah. Well, where do you get your inspiration from? Because I bet you it's unique.
I don't know that it is terrifically unique. I find that my inspiration comes from life, heartbreak, and nature, and the human experience, and the struggle for us to answer these difficult questions that we have in life of why are we here, and like why so much suffering, and just all of those questions that we have. I think that's what an artist's job is really to just open the aperture of one's perception to see life, as much of life as we can, and all its grandiosity and all of the beauty and all of the ugliness, and then to try and communicate that back to us, the listener, who we also are, if that makes sense.
No, that absolutely makes sense.
We're all thinking the same thing, man, and you just put it on paper and song, so that's this is great.
We're all trying to get through this thing called life.
Exactly. But but luckily you're in a pretty gorgeous part of the country. I don't think people really realize just how green Kentucky is. Being in California, we get a lot of browns. The desert life is a little different. It's got its own mystique. But whenever I travel back east, I am always just shocked by the immensity of green that I see, because I'm not used to it. And it's nice that in your videos, you do go out and you show some of that, and you show some of the nature and some of that inspiration that you get. So that's nice to see visually how you are inspired through, where you live, and you bring that to your music.
Yeah, dude. Okay, let me ask you another question. What do you like better? Do you like performing or producing? Do you like making the songs or going out there and touring? Because from the looks of it, you're a tourer. You go out there and play in front of people.
I love the immediacy of connection that playing live gives us, for the performer and for the audience member, both, because I like to be on both sides whenever I can. But I don't think that I could choose one, because I love to create music, and I love the spontaneity of the creation process, from the writing to the demoing to the recording and all of the things. And I guess I probably, hours wise, I'm spending more time trying to get to the show and getting to the show, but it's hard because touring is like 23 hours of to try and do like 1 hour of the good stuff. And so the economy of it is can be troubling to really think about that primarily what I am in this life is a driver.
Is a driver.
A t-shirt salesman, a tour manager, a guitar mechanic, all this, So, but driver, I would write a lot about driving in my songs. It's definitely a big part of the world of my songs.
Well, yeah, because you're driving 8 to 10 hours a day sometimes when you're trying to get across the country. That's a long time to just be out and about,
Yeah. A lot of miles to spend with one's own thoughts.
So when you're out on tour, and I'm hoping that you don't get this a lot, but how does a musician like you deal with hecklers?
Oh, let's see. Well, I've never really been heckled.
Okay, well, that's good.
One time I heard someone from the crowd make fun of the way that I said the word path in the song that I was singing, where I say, "Show me the path." And I heard them, and I was just like, really? But that's the only I'm lucky. That's the only time that's ever happened to me. One time in New York City at Otto's Shrunken Head, we were playing in the back room. This is many, many, many years ago, completely different band. But a guy watched 3 of our songs. He watched us play 3 songs, and then at the end of the 3rd song, he stood up and he said, "You suck," and he walked out of the room. But I really appreciate that he waited 3 songs. He didn't heckle us in between. He really watched us, and he was like, "You know what? These guys suck, and I'm going to let them know about it." And for all I know, we did suck. I mean, we've certainly, especially in my younger years, pickup bands, and the kind of drinking that happens sometimes, when you're a young person on tour, and I'm sure we played shows, what can you do?
Yeah, you got to.
I forgot. Am I allowed to? Is there?
That's okay. I mean,
okay.
I'll believe.
I'm not gonna go wild, but
No, it's just what normally people curse. It's just, you know,
we do.
It's
the state of it.
Days. And honestly, I have heard it is a sign of intelligence. So please, curse all you want. Show us how intelligent you are. Barry doesn't like me to tell people that. So
it's fine. It just makes more bleeping for me.
I'm gonna believe it. I'm gonna choose to believe it.
Choose to believe it. Choose to believe it. It was in the New York Times. It's got to be true.
So tell us about your next couple plans for the future. You got a new record coming out, right?
Yeah, the record drops on the 22nd, September 22nd.
Hey.
And I'm leaving to go on tour tomorrow. I just got back from doing some private shows overseas, and that was on the heels of the East Coast tour. And now tomorrow we're leaving to go and do the Southwest circuit. We're going down to New Orleans via Alabama, and we're coming back up through Texas and across Kansas and Oklahoma. Yay.
Yay.
So when you're out there and you're on the road, do you suddenly become a foodie? Do you stop at certain restaurants, or are you just stopping at like the IHOP?
Well, I mean, it's important to feed yourself well when you're touring, but basically it's like a 1 or 2 meal a day situation usually, and one of those meals is a sort of something that you've cobbled together from like things that are in the van.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we have our favorite little spots that we like to go, and we like to try and eat well when we can, because it is hard on the body to be on tour. So, but I think it's really wise to try to avoid certain kinds of fast foods because of the shall we say, intestinal fallout of some of these particular brands.
Yeah, intestinal fallout. That's a good one. I'm going to remember that.
Your
I saw them
intestines will
open
fall
for the
out.
Ramones in 74. Cool, man. All right. Well, tell us about the new single that's coming out, because that probably has a music video too, right? Is it on 16 millimeter?
So we're doing 3 singles up to the release of the record, and the third one actually came out just a few days ago. But it's called Floating Away, and it is recorded via a digital medium, but it stars a cast of origami characters that were handcrafted by my beautiful partner, Sarah, who she and I conceptualized the video together while out on a walk in nature. So more inspiration from the natural world. So these little origami fellas and a boat that has been sealed, that's been set afloat down a stream, and he's encountering these different creatures. And the song is called Floating Away, and we've gotten a really wonderful, it's had the most feedback, I think, of the 3 singles, which is why we saved it for the third, because we really wanted to knock them out with that third punch. So the record drops in 9 days, 8 days. So very exciting.
And you have some rock star producers on this album, right? Do I hear that correctly?
Just one rock star producer, but Ken Coomer, my dear friend. He's absolutely a rock star to me. He's a man whose drum sound exists in my brain, you know. And so when we were introduced by a mutual friend of ours, and you know, we started talking, and we had some of the same proclivities as record makers and some of the same instincts, and he obviously has a lot more knowledge than I do. He's been doing it for quite a bit longer, but it was such a wonderful, beautiful learning experience, and to be, you know, forming this bond through the creation of music with someone whose music I have admired for many formative years of my life. So yeah, absolutely. Ken Coomer. Love the man.
I wish that I could say that look you gave me to the grave and it will save me. But the memory is fading even now, of you standing in the summer rain, and my life forever changed. Though I've called it back again, again. 'Cause I don't wanna leave this place without you. I don't wanna leave you here alone. I don't wanna leave this place without you. Everybody leaves this place alone. The sirens in my ears ring louder every year, and they call me to the beach when I'm alone. They will be with me when the crowds have gone away, so won't you stay? Cause I don't wanna leave this place without you. I don't wanna leave you here alone. No, I don't wanna leave this place without you. But everybody leaves this place alone. Alone is how we came here, and alone we cried. We cried us from our own sands and the stolen lands where somehow we became friends. If there is one life or 1,000 more to see of joy and suffering, this one is for the dream. I don't wanna leave this place without you. I don't wanna leave you here alone. No, I don't wanna leave this place without you. But everybody leaves this place alone. Everybody leaves this world alone.
Night Sounds here. Joe is over there, and Joe has a lot of random questions that are on the top of his mind. He might ask you about what your favorite food is or what your favorite town to stop is while you're on tour. But Joe,
Oh, that's actually a really good one.
yeah, ask him one of those weird
Okay.
questions that you have.
All right,
there.
I'll ask a weird question. You've been out on the road a lot. You've been in multiple countries, and obviously you like nature. So, like me, you are probably a fan of state and national parks.
Yes.
I'm just guessing. So, I tend, as a Californian, I love Yosemite,
Mhm.
and I've been to Yellowstone a couple times. They're my favorites. I also love Big Sur. So those are like 3 of my big national parks, and I try to get there as much as I can.
Mhm.
What if you could choose anywhere in nature to go and recharge and get some inspiration, where would you want to go in the world?
Oh man, I can go anywhere.
You can go anywhere in the world, and
man.
you don't even need to have been there before. Where?
I guess probably
in this world. In this
Oh, it has to
world.
be on this planet. Okay.
Yeah.
This planet.
So
Yeah, you can't go to
Gliese
New
is
York.
out.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think the Pacific Northwest and the redwoods. I went there as a kid, and it's just there's just something magic about the color and the softness of the bark and these gigantic, wise old beings. I think I would love to revisit that place. But some other wonderful places that we've been through on our travels: the Garden of the Gods Park in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really wonderful place that isn't a state park. I think it was a bequeathment of a wealthy person that owned this big stretch of land. But there are nice places like that as well. And the Butte de Chaumont Park in Paris, once after a particularly bad show that we played in Paris, I went up on top of the butte and sat on the rock and just meditated on impermanence and the utter meaninglessness of it all. And it was a very restorative practice. So
Well,
yes,
I'm
I
glad you
encourage
did,
people to
because
go and check
because
those
you're still
places
here.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I didn't jump off.
yeah, you didn't jump off the precipice, and you're still here making music for us. That's great. One other question, kind of related. What's your favorite venue to play that you played, and what is a venue like your all-time favorite venue that you would want to play? A lot of people say Red Rocks. That's like a big one, but you know, where would you want to play, or where was your favorite place to have played?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be difficult. I don't want to be a difficult guest, but I don't. My love is boundless for the places that I've been, the things
Great
that I've done.
answer.
And so I can't pick a favorite one, but I'll give you a few if you want.
Oh yeah, go for it.
When
yeah.
I was 19, I was fortunate enough to play guitar in a hardcore band that got booked on a Sunday matinee at CBGB's in New York City, CBGB.
Nice, man.
But yeah, so I got to do that, and that was amazing. I was stage right, and the infamous monitor was blasting me in the face,
Yup.
and the smells and just everything. There's no level surface in the entire place. Like every floor is it's a bizarre geometric orientation, but it was magic to me because I grew up on punk rock, and because we lost that place a few years after that. I also got to see the Bad Brains there. That was an incredible experience. One of their last shows.
Did it smell like spilled beer and stale cigarettes the entire time?
It smelled like all of humanity and all of the fluids and all of the emotions and hormones and substances and just all of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Man, you're definitely a writer, without a doubt.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, okay. Tell us about Floating Away while we get out of here and float away with Shadwick Wild. What's the song about again?
It's I think about water, and I use water as an element in my writing because we are mostly water, and because of our planet is mostly water, and because the salinity of our tears and the ocean and the river of time, and we think about impermanence, and water's constantly moving. It's becoming the cloud, and it's becoming the ocean, and it's becoming the river, and it's becoming us, and we want to hold on through the rushing water to the things and people that we love, and that we can do that for a little while in this life is a beautiful thing. But of course, all water continues to move, and so it's about coming to terms with our fluidity, with our impermanence, with our wanting to hold on against the currents.
I'm gonna need to listen to that song a lot because I'm like in that mode of my life right now. I'm trying to figure some stuff out, and this song sounds like it's something I'm gonna need.
Well, we all need some type of reckoning, some type of medicine through the music. That's what I get from it. That's why my life is what it is, because of that, for sure.
Well, let's all go to the medicine shop right now and play that song, huh? Shadwick, thanks so much for coming on, man. I hope we have you back. Every time you have a song, we'd love to talk to you about it.
Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
All right, this is Night Sounds.
Don't worry, Mama. I drive real slow these days. When I'm coasting on the old familiar way. Why I'm living out the best of all of my days. So why do I piss it away? I'm in no hurry, mama. I got a real kind of hope will these days. That's why I'm roasting anyone who gets in our way. And I won't regret the past or live in the mistake that I have made. No, I'm gonna live for today. It's all we've got.
Gen Xer, right? That's what you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, well, we both are. Joe and I are Gen Xers.
And I think I'm a millennial.
God, of course.
Are you?
Of course
When were
he
you-
is.
Wait,
What
when
am
were
I?
you born? I don't know.
81.
Like, here's the thing. It's like I always feel like the generational barriers. You got to kind of give a few years on either side based on like where the person grew up and kind of like what influences they had. Like Barry, you seem like very solidly Gen X to me.
I
Or
agree
you
with
would
that.
be like a geriatric millennial. That's what they
Ooh.
call like the older segment of millennials, I guess.
I like that.
Well-
I think and tell me if I'm wrong, Barry. I think you've hung out with enough Gen X guys that geriatric millennial, right, kind of is bleeding over enough to where guys like Joe and I, obvious Gen Xers, because we're cool, we draw
Thank
that,
you.
we
I
bring that
appreciate
out of you.
Yeah, it is birds of a feather, That's why I'm
Okay.
confused and don't know.
No,
But
I
there was
think it's the industry though. I like radio, like Josh said, man, all the people who were like the mentors in your life were just like so very hard Gen Xers, man. So I think you picked up on a lot of that. So you know what, Josh, I think that there's two of us. I think we can actually officially bring Barry into the Generation X. I think that's okay. I think he has met the criteria.
Let's bring him in. Welcome to Barry.
Yeah, welcome, Barry.
Hey,
You like-
I didn't answer any of this. I refuse. I don't accept this. No, thank you.
Sorry, you're in.
No,
You're
here,
in.
that's it, dude.
Oh, man,
No, you can't. We're gonna get you
Nope.
a BMX bike. You're gonna get. We're gonna take you out on a hill. You're gonna roll down it. You're gonna scab your knee. It's gonna be okay. And we're
It's
not
gonna be
bitch
great.
about
And
it.
then
it is what it is.
and then you can just sit back and watch the world burn with the rest of us, man.
That's right. Under that one light at the end of the block that your family will never know where you're at. Dad, congratulations. Welcome to the fold, my
Barry.
friend.
Way to go.
That's how it is. You're there.
Way to join us.
There you guys
One
go.
of us. One of us.
That's fine.
One of us.
Because I think I think we're all going to agree on this next story about there was a Gallup poll. Have you heard of these
okay.
things? The Gallup poll,
Yeah.
where they do like national surveys and whatnot.
Yeah, of course.
They did one on the death of Gen Z and how real it is.
Oh.
You know how everybody's saying that Gen Z doesn't go into the office, they don't like to work, they're all of these misconceptions and misnomers about
who's everyone.
Yeah.
Well, just
who's everyone?
I would say like baby boomers, their perspective on Gen Z is probably mostly inaccurate. You know what I mean? They probably think that they do things that they don't do. It's like that's how things start in Scuttlebutt. It's like all the generations talk about each other. But
sounds like a bunch of talking heads to me. Wait.
It is. It's all that.
In fact,
Sorry about that.
I'm
Go
sure
ahead. Okay,
there is
sorry.
a YouTube video about to be
There's
played.
There had to have been a TikTok or something about it. Something like that.
Yeah. Let's hear it. What do we got, Barry?
Well, this NYU professor She says that the death of Gen Z has been greatly over-exaggerated.
Okay.
And let's hear her yap for a minute here. Okay, hold on here.
Death of Gen Z has been greatly exaggerated, right? Because our generation, and the statistics, the Gallup poll really shows this. Our generation is sort of that they're dead to us. They're over. They're entitled. They're lazy. They don't know how to work. But Gen Z is filled with hope and optimism for themselves. These numbers are very high because there's this 76% that says I'm very optimistic about the future. 85% believe they'll achieve the goals that they set out for themselves. And meanwhile, the general population, which is us, people who are not Gen Z, say, forget it, they're never going to achieve anything.
Okay, but who's right?
Well, we shall find out. I actually believe in Gen Z. I think that they want to know how to achieve. They want to learn more. I think they want a different future than we wanted, and that might be the source of some of the frustration. When the poll asked them, "What is your dream? What's your American dream?" They said something that's kind of, I think, a little bit startling to our generation. They said, "We want to make enough money to live comfortably." Now, that on its face sounds like an okay goal. I want to make enough money to live comfortably, but when their word "comfortably" is not about financial security, it's about anxiety. If you look deeper into the results, right? They'll do anything to avoid anxiety. They want to have lives that are anxiety free. And that's why we saw quiet quitting, lazy girl jobs, fun employment, all of those trends.
And you think if this poll was taken of a generation or two back or three back, the answer would have been not just I want to be comfortable, but I want to do better than my parents?
Yes, absolutely.
Because that to me was what I thought was the American dream.
That's right. They have a very tamped down, diminished American dream. And who's to say it's wrong? Maybe that but what we see, what the implications for business are, is that they are moving away from work and business being the source of their happiness and self-actualization and identity.
I can't say I'm shocked or surprised. I mean, they grew up with the Great Recession, followed by COVID and the pandemic and crazy lockdowns.
Yes.
And
their view of the future can be quite nihilistic.
Right. If you look at some of those things, if you grew up and watched your parents get in trouble during the Great Recession, you think, I'm not going to put myself through the things my parents did and sacrifice all those things for
what?
For nothing.
For the man. They don't want to do it.
Am I wrong to have more hope for Gen Z than maybe some of the other named generations? I think
no, I don't. I have a lot of hope for them because they have one really beautiful thing
but they're
about
different,
them.
aren't they? They're different, than the hoverboard generation, whatever the hell they living in their parents' basement.
Yeah, no, they are, at least in my classroom, my experience, and I talk to a lot of people from Gen Z, they want to work very, very, they want to have meaningful lives. Okay, so that's
not just apps on their iPhone.
No, they want to, they actually like more in real life communication than previous generations. I have a lot of hope for them, actually. I know that's
okay, so but let me ask you this. We've been talking about the UAW this morning with the auto union. And we've now seen a sort of union movement with UPS across the country. It's happening broadly.
Yeah.
How does that play into this?
I think that Gen Z would be more likely to want to be unionized than previous generations. That because they don't trust institutions. I mean, and their trust institutions all-time low because they don't trust. They're not going to trust their boss to say
union's not an institution.
Well, they don't know that yet, right? They see
some of the worst. The management at the union.
They are going to pick management as being the institution, the man, the boss, and I think they'd be more likely to unionize because they don't see work. They don't see if I unionize, it's going to hurt my upward trajectory. It's going to take me out of management because they don't have long-term views about how long they're going to stay at a company.
Yeah, but who has, though? It doesn't matter the Gen Z. Who has ever trusted the man? I mean, you can even go back to baby boomers that said that, right? But I think it's a matter of work ethic. And I don't know. This seemed like a pretty lame story. I mean, I don't know. Joe,
I literally knocked my hat off. My eyes rolled so hard listening to that story. I don't know if this woman who is certainly been in the upper middle class to upper class probably most of her life has ever actually gotten down in the trenches and talked to Gen Xers who've been working since they were 15, like me. I don't know. I have always just wanted to be comfortable. I have no anxiety. I never was like, man, I got to do better than my parents. I was just like, I just want to be comfortable and like live a good life, be able to travel, like, you know, and you make those types of decisions. I watched my dad not travel and not go to all these places that he talked about incessantly for years, trying to raise our family, and he, you know, never going anywhere. And so it's why I made it a priority. Like, travel's important to me, and I got to do it now because there might not be a later. And I think a lot of us have been in that position for so long. I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between what Gen Z, you know, as a total is asking for and what most people just want. A decent paying job, not to worry about, you know, your health benefits all the time, have all that kind of stress and anxiety, you know, and just be able to like hang out every now and then with your friends and family. That's all people want. We're not trying to be lazy. We're just trying to like get by. It's hard.
Yeah, look, I saw my father when he found out that he knocked up my mom at 19 and needed a job. He got a job at Frito-Lay packing chips, and he spent the next 50 years, the longest running Hispanic in PepsiCo history, by the way, just doing what he had to do to support his family. And he spent hours and hours and countless days and weeks of not having this thing called vacation, then finally being able to get to a point where he could have a vacation. And then there was this thing from Gen Xers called timeshares, and my timeshare would be great. I can take my kids there. Then, you know, my little brother came into play, who is the a lot like Barry now, you know, the Gen Zer. But my point is, much to your point, Joe, I saw my father bust his ass for so long and working so many hours. At the end of the day, it wasn't a matter of just trying to be better than my dad. When I got into radio, I'll never forget when I said, "Hey, Pop, you spent all this money sending me to private Christian school and trying to get this good education." And then out of nowhere, I said, "Hey, Pop, I'm going to be a radio personality." And he looked at me and he said, "Only one thing. Are you going to be able to pay your bills?"
Hmm?
I said, "Yeah." He said, "Are you going to be happy?" I said, "Pop, I think I am." He gave me a hug. We took a picture in the studio with my first job, and that's all he ever gave a damn about. And guess what? Guys like Gen Xers, everybody else, that's all I ever cared about. I just wanted to be happy. I paid my bills. I could travel whenever the hell I wanted to. And you know what? For these other generations, don't think about trying to outdo everybody. Make this huge TikTok, you know, 6-figure salary. Just be happy. You'll learn to be happy. Learn to be happy with yourself. Learn to be happy with your loved ones. Learn to be happy with the people that actually care about you. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters.
Well, but I think that's one of the points that she's making, and that people are maybe confused about or disappointed in because other generations had a different view of it. Trying to do something that makes you happy is sometimes looked at as not good enough. You know, like,
yes,
you can't have a job that makes you happy. You got to get a job that pays you really well, you know, that makes you a big star in some way. You know, it's like, no,
it doesn't.
No, it's not. That's not. And it takes people way, way too long to figure that out in life, you know.
But I always thought that if they had someone like, you know, where they had individuals from the Gen X or whatever to just be able to sit down with them, because think about it, they spend so much of their time thinking that they have to accomplish so much and have to achieve a financial level that's way beyond, even beyond their parents, that I don't think they truly understand how much they're giving up. Right? Yeah. Like, I don't think anyone ever sat down with them and said, well, yeah, you're going to work. You know, you think you're going to work 40 hours, pfft, whatever. You're going to work 60, 70, 80 hours, busting your ass and never have time off, right? Like, that's how, if you want to get that and achieve that, it's not gonna happen with you just going, well, I posted a really cool picture on Instagram or TikTok and it took off. That's less than 1% of anybody that does social media marketing.
Less than 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%. It's a minuscule amount. Like, you have a better chance of getting into a professional sport than you do of breaking through on YouTube or Instagram or anything as an influencer. It's mind-boggling.
Absolutely.
So many people.
Yep.
So Gen Z, do it to be happy. It's okay. That is okay.
Dude, be
Just
happy.
Be happy.
Be happy. Be happy.
Don't worry. Yeah.
Finally, you two agree on something.
I do.
Sometimes.
Every
You two generation of people agree on happiness. I like it. Well,
we can agree that NYU professor was like, wow, just out of touch.
Way out of touch. There's just so many of these elitist snobs that just don't get it, and it is what it is. That's why they're not in sports. That's why they don't get